that we didn't speak yet. Just a little bit more about it, I don't know. We're just having some
Dreams get realized, yet some turn into nightmares. In a world where the past intertwines with the present, a new story begins. The first chapter of the ESL R1 history book has been etched onto the pages of time. Another now has its turn. The ESL R1 2023 full season is on. Find your grip and get ready for the racing to be released.
And it is pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to ESL R1. It's round 6 night, folks, and we are here at Spa-Francorchamps looking to deliver yet more fascinating racing action. Of course, Jasmine's not here tonight, but I am going to be trying to fill her shoes, at least for now, and looking ahead, we'll have plenty of excitement along the way. Also, speaking of excitement, we're only a mere 3 rounds away from our big Grand Major, of course, coming up at DreamHack Winter in Sweden, and you yourself can be in with a chance of winning some tickets to join us for that event. You can also, well, make sure you use !survey, get involved in the survey, use the QR code, scan it, get involved, let us know your thoughts regarding ESL R1 and Rennsport for that matter, and you could be within a chance of winning 5 tickets to be part of the DreamHack Winter weekend. But yes, it has been a pleasure, of course, bringing you this championship, and I won't be taking you through this night alone. We have got, alongside me, the one, the only, co-commentator of mine as well, Lewis McGlade joins me here in the commentary box. Lewis, looking very suave in your picture. How are you, sir? Thank you. No, I'm good. I'm looking forward to burning the house down, of course. Now that Veracity's not with us this time, it's going to be me and you playing up. It's going to be fun though. We're going to have a lot of banter. I'm sure we're going to have to. Yeah, it's a troublesome trio between us two. My goodness me. But I think we're going to get some great racing. We all love a bit of Spa, don't we? We certainly do. Let's take you back through, folks. Let's go back in time. Let's take a look at some of our round winners. Kicking things off, obviously, round 1 and round 2 taken by Sebastian Job and G2 Esports. Sensational start for him. And then Max Benneker, of course, the winner at Gamers 8, took the victory at round 3. And followed quickly up by Nikodem Wisniewski, the feel-good factor as part of the Williams outfit that would go on to take round 4. Round 5 would then fall to Yuri Toman at the Temple of Speed at Monza. RAG coming into this one in full fine fettle, and it looks extremely strong once again tonight. Certainly so. Certainly so. I mean, here's the championship at the moment. Of course, you know, George, we speak a lot about the top lot of the championship, don't we? But I think it's that more. It's towards the bottom end, isn't it? The sort of like the battle for getting inside the top 24. Anyone in grey, by the way, they are not here in the semifinals. They got knocked out in the knockout phase. And we're now dealing with that battle to get into that top 24. You can see Moritz Lerner, Jakob Brzezinski, James Baldwin, Isaac Price. Those towards the back end of that cut line are not in this evening's racing, which means that it's a great opportunity for those below the cut to get their way into Sweden. Yeah, it certainly does. And looking at those top 5 as well, Job, Toman, McCormack, Rogers, Benneker, 4 out of the top 5 have taken victories here at Spa-Francorchamps. So certainly very interesting complexion it, of course, throws on this. And also, not just the Drivers' Championship, we're taking a look as well at the team's title race, because, of course, it's heating up there as well. And RAG, who have been in sensational form coming through this championship, of course, currently lead at the top 775 points, with Porsche Coanda quite a gap in behind, and they'll be looking obviously for some big points once again tonight. Williams not too far away either, currently sat in P3. Then of course you've got Redline and others further down as well. It does look impossible to catch them right now, Lewis, but they have a great chance once again to increase the gap with certainly the talents they have on offer here tonight. Yeah, of course, it's really the fight for second, really, in the team's championship, because everything else is almost, it seems like it's almost been set by RAG. These 4 have been unbelievable. All 4 of them inside that top 16. All 4 of them, of course, at the moment going to Sweden. There are pressures from behind, though. They cannot falter. They cannot make a misstep of a major variety. But let's be honest, they've had that 200-point lead for so long now, George. It's been, what, 3 rounds that they've had that substantial lead. Everyone's caught up a little bit, but they're still the dominant force. They certainly are looking strong. We can catch up with their team boss, Mehdi.
Hello, this is Mehdi from RAG. We've just finished the quarterfinal round at Spa. 3 out of our 4 drivers got into semifinals. Unfortunately, there were some wheel issues for Erhan, but the other 3 drivers did a good race. It was good enough to put ourselves in semifinals, so hopefully we can keep going on this good point haul. Last time at Spa, it was a very good event for us, so we'll try to score as much as possible to keep the gap to P2 in the team championship significant. It is somewhere around 180 points, so we gotta keep pushing to make it even bigger and to have a safe upcoming round.
Yeah, great hearing there from RHG's team boss Mehdi, who seems confident, seems composed, but obviously there's a couple of concerns coming up from behind as well. One of those being Apex Racing Team, who have looked extraordinarily strong coming through this time. Probably their strongest performances in championship contention, with the likes of Kevin Ellis Jr., Jamie Fluke and Johan Harth. Jamie Fluke and, of course, Kevin Ellis Jr. themselves, race winners in their own right. Johan Harth picking up steady podiums. Elvis Rankin, though, also looks strong, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, look, this whole team, this whole squad's pieced themselves together really, really well so far this year. And like I said, this season, Elvis Rankin's kind of stepped himself up a little bit. They're not the only team that's kind of in that close contention. No, Porsche aren't a million miles behind. They're all kind of fighting over that sort of second spot in the team championship. And what can we speak about the consistency of this lot? They've got one of the fastest drivers on the entire grid. The driver that's got the most wins in Josh Rogers.
Yeah, Josh Rogers, of course, many times a race winner. Porsche Commander themselves, team champions at Gamers 8. Dane Warren picking up his first win of the season as well, just in this very round itself, in the quarter-final stages. Mitchell deJong, of course, returning, looking to bring back his best form, and Matt Backham returning from injury, looking to obviously bounce back in his own right after Charlie Collins, basically stood in his stead while he was away. This, of course, can take us forward as well, folks. We can take a look at the lineups for tonight as well, because obviously we've got 2 semi-finals to bring you on the run-up to the final race that will eventually crown a winner here in round 6. Here is our current complexion. Of course, race 1, looking back, Josh Rogers taking victory in the first knockout phase. Of course, Dane Warren would make it a Porsche Commander 1 and 2. And there you can see 25-point share between the pair. A great opening start here for the Porsche Commander team here in round 6. Thomas Tatler not far away, was very much in the fight for the win, but due to reasons afterwards, of course, Rogers would take the crown. Luke Bennett in second as well, of course, looking like a giant force. And those were the drivers that made it through to semi-final 1, Lewis.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the full entry list so you can kind of see how things piece together and you can kind of take a bit of an understanding. Of course, this is also in championship order, so Dara McCormack is the highest place in the championship. In this, the top 6 are within that top 10. Just 2 drivers on this grid are outside of the top 24, and those moving through, which means that they, Lassie Sorensen and Elvis Rankin, have a good chance now to take advantage of it. Got to say, though, big lucky boy on the grid, Maximilian Benneker, got involved in a big incident yesterday in the first corner. Got a 3-second penalty. A lot of people were arguing that maybe it should have been more, but he does find his way through into today's action, and I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back from such a feat.
Yeah, and why don't we take a look at a closer look, scrutiny of the head-to-heads as well. Joshua Rogers, Max Benneker being my head-to-head that I want to look at. And of course, if we talk about these two, certainly a pair of icons in the world of sim racing. Josh Rogers, 249 total points, 235 to Max Benneker. Nothing separates them. The key numbers, though, top 6s, 36 going to Rogers, 24 for Benneker, 27 podiums for Rogers, 18 to Benneker. So Benneker really requires to step up here at this point. Rogers looking like he carries the momentum coming in to the very key rounds, essentially why Porsche have been so successful. Lewis, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, solid bets there for drivers that might be towards the front. I'm kind of looking at those drivers, though, that might be transferring their way through, that are involved in that fight. So let's take a look at my pick. 2 is Tatler House, being the 2 that I'm looking at here. They're towards the back end of the top 24. They're above the cut line at the moment. But, you know, in this race, they're the only ones representing their given teams. Heroic have made a big step forward so far over the last couple of rounds. House in Mercedes, that's a team that's been struggling quite a lot in the full season for reasons we don't fully know, but Bono's the shining light of the squad.
He certainly is. He is definitely delivered. Mercedes have had a difficult time of late. We are going to bring in fellow commentator Ewan O'Leary. Ewan, of course, stepping up here once again alongside myself and Lewis here in the ESL R1 camp. Take us through your head-to-head, my good friend.
Yeah, good afternoon, and good afternoon to everyone at home as well. I've gone for Lassie Sorensen versus Elvis Rankin today for a bit of a head-to-head in semi-final number 1, and I've picked these two mainly because they're the only two who are in this first semi-final outside of the top 24 at the moment. Both of them needing big results, lots of points, and this is a perfect place to do it. They're going to need to improve, though, if they want to get into the final. Only a couple of top 6s now for Elvis Rankin, who's never been in a final. Lassie Sorensen has been a bit better at getting to those finals in recent weeks, but those average grid positions, 10th and 8th respectively, are going to have to come down if they want to get into the top 6, because we know how difficult, unless your name is Tommy Usgaard, to be fair, we know how difficult it is to move through the order and get into the top 6 if you qualify badly.
Well, Lewis, Ewan, we've done all the talking. I'm going to hand it over to the pair of you. Take us through the first semi-final.
Thanks very much, George. Looking forward to the first of 2 semi-finals here today, Lewis. As you say, a bit of Spa. We've got a little bit more of it here tonight. Here's, goodness me, look at us there. Here's a little competition. You did quite well yesterday, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, this I posted on social media a little bit earlier. We had a little bit of fun yesterday. We had our picks. We picked 6 drivers that we thought were going to move through from each of the knockouts. And you can see here as to who's picked what. Those that say both obviously means that we both picked them. Those that say, you know, Lewis, I picked. Ewan, you picked. Those that say that neither, neither of us picked, which might have caused a bit of a stir, mostly with Heroic. Sorry. I was going to put sorry underneath the neither, by the way, but no, we just full committed. So sorry about that one, but it is what it is. I mean, we had a lot of fun with it. We have continued it. We do have a little bit behind the scenes. We've had our little prediction as well as to the 6 we think as we go through. So we'll discuss that as the race goes on.
We will. Yeah, we're sorry to Heroic as well, by the way, because that was well, I am because we didn't pick either Tumas Tasseler or Tommy Usgaard to go through, but they're both here, so we look forward to seeing them out there on the circuit again. In terms of those predictions, as you mentioned, those we've actually picked some very similar ones for semi-final number 1, and I guess from the outside looking in, maybe that means it looks like a fairly obvious top 6, maybe a slightly quiet first race, but I can't see that happening. Can you?
No, I mean, the thing is, this is of the 2 semi-finals, semi-final 1 is arguably the stronger one, and I think kind of because of that, you kind of look at just like the same 6 drivers and be like, bam, it's them. Although I will say, I did change it from the last time that we had a look. And Mehdi, close your ears. I removed Marcel Chinchik from my predictions. I don't know why. I've got a bit of a vibe that maybe not. And I put Tumas Tasseler in mostly because I can't go against Heroic again. So they can't let me down now. They cannot let me down. But I will say, I'm going to go for a little bit of a prediction of the race winner. I don't see anyone other than Josh Rogers taking this win.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Josh Rogers is going to be supreme around here. We were looking actually at his Game of 8 stats earlier on, weren't we, when we were talking about wins at Spa, and he was unbelievable around this circuit at Game of 8. Obviously, we're not there anymore, but even so, he is going to be great on the online rounds as well. Nearly 50% of his race wins, by the way, in ESL R1 have come at this venue. He's by far and away the most successful driver at Spa. Won round 2 here, of course, in the spring season as well, and he is going to be one to watch over the course of this race. There's no doubt about that. So watch out for him. Watch out for the others as well. I've got to say it's a bold prediction to put Marcel Chinchik below the cut line for the top 6. I've got to say, but you never know what can happen. To be fair, we didn't expect Max Benneker to get knocked out of round 1, did we, at Monza? And you made that prediction. It came off quite well. So you just never know what can happen. But frozen spills, that's what we can expect. That's what we're going to see. And who knows what we're going to get. Qualifying coming up very shortly, of course. And yeah, last night, I've got to say, I was a little bit surprised with the pace of the pole position times in the knockout rounds. I was expecting maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure we're going to get a world record time like we got from Sebastian Job back at round 2 of this season.
Yeah, but do you remember when we had that record time? You know, it was a 0.230, I think it was around that kind of point before we got into that qualifying session. A 2-minute 14.230 was what we were expected to be. There was a faster time he had, blah, 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 blah. And then Sebastian Job comes out and sets a 14.190. Quite a lot of the qualifying times yesterday were in that kind of like the lower 0.2 region. So I don't think that we've had a particularly slow session. It's more just about, it just shows how incredible that lap was from Sebastian Job a bit earlier on in this season.
And we're riding on board at the moment with one of the drivers neither of us have selected to go through from this first semi-final. Now we both say that Luke Bennett is not going to make it. Is there any particular reason for that for you or not?
No, to be fair, the thing is, like, this one is so strong in the sense of that there's like 8 drivers that obviously, you know, we were saying that there were 6 drivers who are inside the top 10, you know, really like 8, 9 drivers. They're in that kind of battle to get inside the top 10 of the championship anyway, and there's quite a lot of them. It's so painfully strong, this semi-final. I don't quite know why semi-final 1 feels so much stronger than semi-final 2. That's exactly the scenario that we're in. I mean, Luke Bennett's plenty fast enough. I just don't know. I don't know. My gut doesn't lean towards him. Although I will say we've both picked most of the drivers from knockout 1.
That is true, but we've been wrong before. We may be wrong again. So let's wait and see. Good opening sector from Luke Bennett here, 38.7 from him there, and a 59.7 kind of sets him back a little bit as well. So we're aiming at around the 14.2s. That will be a good time. A low 14.2, 2.14.2 that is a good time around this circuit. But is he going to be able to get into those for Luke Bennett? I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see how his final sector goes. He makes his way into the final chicane now for the very first time, and he will set us off for this qualifying session this afternoon in semi-final number 1. Hook that curb up on the right-hand side, then miss it a little bit more on the left. Use the exit curve as much as you can on the right-hand side, the tarmac as well. And Luke Bennett will set the early benchmark. It is a 14.3. That's probably not going to be pole, and he's a tiny bit disappointed, I would imagine, with that.
Yeah, that's not great, unfortunately, for Luke Bennett. You can kind of see that's a pole position cam in the bottom right. You saw the head tilt back, the frustration already there. So he is not really feeling it. First sector here from Lassie Sorensen's slower than Bennett's. Second sector slower than Bennett's, and I think out towards the line, I think this is going to be slower than Bennett's, weirdly enough. I'm going to say 0.4 of some description, maybe a lower 4. Certainly it's 4.83. It's actually a higher 4. That, to be honest, for Lassie Sorensen, that could be towards the back of the field.
Yeah, really could. That's not good news at all. Dame Warren was very impressive yesterday, got to say. He took a race win around here. And Porsche Contender, by the way, have all 4 of their drivers into the boat for the semi-finals. It's Josh Rogers and Dame Warren, arguably the stronger of the 2 pairings in semi-final number 1. And Dame Warren is going to look to set them off on a good mark here, with Josh Rogers to come a little bit later on in this session. What is the time going to be for the Australian? Not sure if he's pleased or not. He's only second, though. 39 thousandths behind Luke Bennett after that lap time.
Dara McCormack, next one to come round, of course, when he won for the first time in a far bar, when he won his first race in ESL R1. It just so happened to be a final, which was the last race in earlier on in the season. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see as to whether he could piece things together. Almost managed a clean sweep. I've got some stats on clean sweeps. As he crosses the line of 14.320, it's fine. But I still don't believe that's pole. Not with heavy hitters like Maximilian Benneker, like Josh Rogers on the way.
Yeah, I think your description, the use of the word "fine" there is a good way of describing it. Really, it's you know, nothing setting the world on fire for the moment, but it might be good enough in this session. I mean, we saw this in the final in Monza a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, for round 5? It wasn't actually a barnstorming lap time that took pole in the end, but who knows? Bono House makes his way up towards the line. He's half a tenth away. That's 4 for the only Mercedes driver in the field, and now it's another one of the Mercedes teams. Apex Racing Team, Kevin Siggy Jr. will set this team off, hopefully, and he knows how to qualify well around here. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, my submission into the Apex Racing Team, I have requested a seat to drive in. I think it's going to get turned up because I'm not very good. But banter anyway. We'll see what the Apex Racing Team do. I'm only doing it for a shirt, to be perfectly honest. Kevin Siggy Jr. will come towards the line, 3.24, 4,000 of a Dara McCormack. It's incredibly close, but none of these lap times are like shockingly good. They're just, you know, they're solid laps.
Max Benneker makes his way up towards the final chicane right now, and by the way, apologies for the short sound issues we've got in-game at the moment. Just being rectified behind the scenes for now, but Max Benneker is making his way out of the final corner right now. This could be a good time from the German, who of course came so close at round 2 earlier on this season. He's only 5 thousandths away. My goodness, this is close. Top 4, 5 thousandths of a second separate them. Unbelievable, really.
That is incredible. I didn't realise that stat about Max Benneker. He has a qualifying ban for next round, obviously pending, after an incident yesterday. He only got a 3-second time penalty through the race, so I wonder if it's anything to do with that. Elvis Rankin comes through the final corner. I mean, he can't surely split the gap between McCormack, Bennett, Ellis Jr. and Benneker. I think it's going to be behind all of that, behind him in Sorensen. It is behind Sorensen as he ends up in 8th position, and that is pretty frustrating.
that is frustrating. Can't see Elvis Rankin making it through, unfortunately. I mentioned the qualifying performances there, Sorensen and Rankin. Unfortunately, these lap times aren't going to improve those averages at all. Now it's our Spring Major champion, Marcel Chinchik. This is not a bad time so far from Marcel. This could be pole, and maybe a low 14.3. Might even see our first 14.2 here. But surely we are going to get a 14.2 throughout this session with still Chinchik and Rogers to come. It's over the line for the Hungarian. It's well into the 14.2s. A 14.250. Marcel Chinchik on pole, and now it's over to you, Josh Rogers.
Yeah, indeed. But before that, we've got Patrick Holtzman, then Josh Rogers, then Thomas Tattler. The Porsches have all looked pretty quick this weekend, or this round rather, in the hands of Porsche Coanda and in the hands of Heroic. Let's see what they can do, but let's see if Patrick Holtzman can do anything special. He comes through the final section. First sector's decent, second sector's losing about a tenth and a half. Could be around the Bonnerhouse Lassie Sorensen bits, exactly where he's going to go, into 8th position. 2 heavy hitters left to go, including a now 21-time race winner in ESL R1.
Race wins. That's over the course of all ESL R1, by the way, including the regular seasons, the majors, and the Gamers 8 competition as well. 10 of those wins have come around here at Spa at nearly 50%. So what can he do around here? Surely it's going to be a big day for Joshua Rogers. Don't think this is quite going to be pole, though, for the Australian. He goes over right. It's second. 12 thousandths of a second separate Chinchik and Rogers. Surely that is going to be the front row for the race.
Certainly so. Well, let's see what Thomas Tattler can do. Got a fantastic result yesterday. Technically, he crossed the line as a winner, but you know he did get a penalty post-race. Dropped back behind Joshua Rogers, allowed Rogers to take that victory. What can Thomas Tattler do? He's been flying around here. Like I say, looking to move himself below the cut line to above it. He goes his way on the pole position. What a lap time from Thomas Tattler! A 2:14.2, Ewan. That is a mad lap.
We should stop doubting Thomas Tattler, or I should, because that was an unbelievable lap for the Heroic driver, and he's on pole. Let's take a look at your VRS starting grid for semi-final number 1, with Elvis Rankin and Lassie Sorensen making up the back row, Patrick Holtzman and Bonnerhouse just inside the top 10. Then it's Dane Warren, who will be disappointed with 8th, just behind Max Benneker, who is 7th. Kevin Ellis Jr. makes it into the top half alongside Luke Bennett. Darren McCormack and Josh Rogers are on row 2, behind Marcel Chinchik, the Spring Major champion, and Thomas Tattler, who takes pole position. He was so close to his first ever ESL R1 win yesterday. Unfortunately, a penalty denied in that one, and it handed it over to Josh Rogers instead in knockout number 1. What about semi-final number 1? Thomas Tattler has given himself a great chance of finally taking a race win in this championship, and what a lap it was for him to get that pole position, put the Porsche on pole, and he's got a real chance. I feel so bad for doubting him for the second time in 2 days.
I am so glad that I took a look at my predictions for semi-final 1, and I moved. Thomas Tattler was below the cut line, but then I looked at social media. I thought I had to think about it. Nah, bang, slap you back above that, above the line, and yeah, he's looking quick. He's looking fast. He's looking rapid. He's looking like he's a potential race winner, yet to take a victory in ESL R1. Of course, his teammates had 4 in Timmy Uskard, taking another one yesterday. Considering there was a penalty for Thomas Tattler, that means that technically yesterday Heroic had 2 victories. They are looking really, really strong this round. Let's see if Tattler can do it.
Yeah, fair play to them as well. Really, really fair play to them, because it's been a great race. I don't know about dropping Marcel Chinchik, by the way, to have Thomas Tattler in your picks.
It was a bold call.
It was, but still, anything can happen, as we know. But yeah, Thomas Tattler, what a lap that was from him, and he is on pole. I mean, how is he going to convert this, though, is the question. He's got the likes of Chinchik and Rogers right behind, who were, you know, the big favourites for this one. They may still be. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him during this race.
Now, yeah, speaking of Rogers, by the way, there he is on screen. Obviously he won yesterday. He's looking for a clean sweep here. If he can take the victory in this race and the final, obviously that's getting very far ahead of ourselves. Spa, actually, coincidentally, is the only track we've not had a clean sweep at. We did have a clean sweep at Hockenheim, which was in the hand of Joshua Rogers. Obviously, that was at Katowice. We had a clean sweep from Bennett. That was at the Nürburgring, literally the round afterwards. And we had a clean sweep from Sebastian Job for the first round of this season, where they took the win in the knockout, in the semi-final and in the final. Those are the only times we've had clean sweeps. We've had lots of times where the driver's been on the podium in all 3 races, but clean sweeps are still pretty rare. Josh Rogers and the pace of that Porsche this round could very well be up for it.
Well, he'll be starting from third in this one as we get ready for semi-final number 1 here for round 6 of ESL R1. It's the fall season, 3 rounds until the major in Sweden, and we're almost ready to go racing. The lights are coming on now, and we are ready. Round 6 here of ESL R1. It's semi-final number 1, and we are underway. A good launch from Thomas Tattler on the front row for Heroic. He'll take the lead into turn 1. Marcel Chintik doesn't get away quite so well, and Josh Rogers heads down his inside. It's very wide from Marcel Chintik. He will slot into third, though, with Darren McCormack and Luke Bennett side by side on the way down towards Eau Rouge.
Yeah, McCormack surely got a back out here, does drop back in line, little tap at the brakes just to make sure he stays behind the Team Redline car as they rise their way up. Radion is a little bit naughty there from Marcel Chinchik, just a bit of a squeeze there on Darren McCormack. Look to the outside there, behind all of that is the likes of Maximilian Benneker's trying to get himself back involved in the mix. Got a big, though, train behind him as the Apex Racing team driver of Kevin Ellis Jr. is trying to get himself inside the top 6 as he squeezes back down the inside. Oh, there's going to be a big crash.
Carnage. Luke Bennett's involved, Darren McCormack as well, with Kevin Ellis Jr. and Maximilian Benneker. What a big moment in this race. Huge drama, huge contact, and 4 drivers surely are definitely out of this one. This turns semi-final number 1 on its head entirely as everybody moves. Basically, Dave Warren, Bono House and Patrick Holtzman are the new entries into the top 6.
And what drivers to have out there, basically. I mean, Luke Bennett's still got a chance here in 9th spot. Yes, he's 1.3 seconds behind, and it is a bit of a tall order. But of those 3, Benneker, McCormack, and Ellis Jr., we both had all 3 of those down as moving through in this one, almost guaranteed, straight away. Costly mistake there. Again, we'd have to check it out on replays and such, but I believe it was just Kevin Ellis Jr. Getting slightly wrong-footed by Benneker and then just completely misjudged it and caused quite the kerfuffle. What this is going to do, though, is it's going to open the door big time for drivers that are further down the order in the championship. As you can take a look there over the shoulder of race controller Adrian, you know, having a little look, seeing what's going on, and yeah, not a pleasant scene.
No, that's quite a poignant shot, by the way. There is race director going to be having a look at the start, and there's going to need to be a few looks, I think. There's going to need to be a few. Out towards the end of lap 1 then, it's Thomas Tattler who still leads. Josh Rogers has got ahead of Marcel Chinchik on the front. Dane Warren inside the top 6 now, so is Bono House and Patrick Holtzman. Lassie Sorensen and Elvis Rankin are the ones trying to get into that top 6, with Luke Bennett in 9th place, just hanging off the back. And as you say, those 3 at the bottom are surely confirmed out of this race and out of the semi-final stage. What a big 3 drivers to have knocked out as well. We've seen so much trouble, and we're on lap 2 of the evening.
You got to say though, you know, feel bad for drivers like Darren McCormack, who was just in the middle of it. You know, there was nothing that McCormack could do. Yes, you know, you could say Benneker also in that same sort of vein, but Benneker, you know, was in the real fight with Ellis Jr. there. So, you know, there was that. McCormack was just driving his line. More contact as we see between Sorensen and Holtzman. Sorensen's trying to get himself inside the top 6 and certainly does so. Bish Bash Bosch and the Fury car's working its way through for the 2nd consecutive week.
Through goes Lassie Sorensen, and Patrick Holtzman looks to reply but can't quite. Elvis Rankin stays 8th for the moment and looks for a way through of his own as they go downhill. The right-hander of Rivage now through no-name corner and just avoiding that gravel on the outside line. Just clip it ever so slightly as you make your way down towards Puan as well. This battle has slightly allowed the top 5 to get away, I think it's fair to say. Lassie Sorensen getting through has just slowed everybody down, and the top 5 are looking a bit better out front now.
Yeah, certainly so. We'll take a replay in a second, by the way, and we'll try and piece together everything that happened up towards Lake Com. See this, keep your eye on. So there's a bit of a squeeze there from Benneker, then Ellis Jr. comes straight back over. You need to see that basically on board from Ellis Jr., to be perfectly honest, because he was getting squeezed a little bit by Benneker and then just tried sending it straight back down the inside, but the car wasn't under control.
Well, the question for me is whether Kevin Ellis Jr. was trying to go for a gap that was, you know, always going to see him on the grass, or was he pushed there by Max Benneker? That is the key moment for me, because I think it's clear to see that the thing that starts it all is Ellis Jr. being on the grass and then out of control and then sort of skittling into everybody like he's in a bowling alley. And unfortunately, it's taken out 4 drivers, including himself there. The question for me is whether he was pushed there or whether he went there voluntarily on his own.
Yeah, big time. And yeah, again, that's Thankfully, you're not for us to decide. We get to sit back and accept that that's someone else's responsibility, not ours, because I do not want to be making that call. But either way, I mean, regardless of who you think's to blame in that one, whether it's Beneker or Ellis Jr., I mean, the pair of them are down in 10th and 12th. And Beneker's already got a penalty looming over his head, which he'll deal with next week, courtesy of an issue in the knockout phase. So it's not looking so great. Fastest lap of the race has gone the way of Lassie Sorensen, then, who finds himself inside the top 6. Joshua Rogers closing in for the race lead once again. Here we go.
Thomas Tattler stays through the middle, gives Rogers the option of the inside or the outside, and the Australian goes outside. They make wheel-to-wheel contact on the way towards Lecombe. It's absolutely locked together, but Josh Rogers goes through. Thomas Tattler out wide, and Marcel Cincic gets alongside him ever so briefly. The run out of Malmedy is going to be good, and here we go with Marcel Cincic on the outside now. Will Porsche Coanda be looking for a 1-2 though? Because if this goes wrong, Dane Warren is right there waiting. Side by side into no-name corner as Tattler goes round the outside. A great battle and a great defence from the Finnish driver to hold on to second at the very least. It allows everybody behind just to shovel up one more place and just get that little bit closer to second, currently held by Thomas Tattler.
And Joshua Rogers then stepping himself closer to getting another race victory, moving himself further ahead when it comes to most race wins. Defensive line being taken there from Dane Warren. Bonner House all over the rear end of him, looking for his second final of the year. Bonner did have one a couple of rounds ago at round 4 of the championship. He ended up finishing in 8th position on that day. Obviously would like to get another one onto the board as the lone driver for the Mercedes team at the moment. Got to be said though, Thomas Tattler and Josh Rogers making contact on a straight into Lecombe. That is, what, the 4th time this race for Sim drivers making contact on the straight bit going into that corner? That is unacceptable at this level.
It's bizarre is what it is in my opinion, but yeah, it's something you don't want to see at all on the way in towards that complex corner, or indeed any complex of corners to be fair. Out of the final corner now for the end of lap 3. It's semi-final number 1 in round 6 of ESL R1 for the full season. Josh Rogers leads by nearly a second already. Surely Tattler's under a lot of pressure here in towards Lecombe. Cincic and Warren are going to want to find their way through as long as they all get it right on the way out of La Source. I think Warren's run is more than good enough for a move here, possibly Cincic's as well.
Yeah, but Warren's got to be careful going into T1. That's exactly where Beneker had the issue yesterday, and it's exactly where Dane Warren had the issue in the very first race of ESL R1. He misjudged his braking zone going into La Source and absolutely clouted the rear end of the car ahead. Cannot afford to do that right now. Warren genuinely is one of the fastest drivers here, could be up for a race victory as Marcel Cincic will get his way to the inside. They fight their way up towards Lecombe, side by side between Sorensen and House as well behind. Side by side between Cincic and Tattler for second position. Cincic's got all the way around the outside of the first part of Lecombe, around Malmedy. Dane Warren goes for a gap that's barely there, and there's contact between Tattler and Warren.
Well, Warren tried to follow Marcel Cincic through there, but it wasn't going to happen, and very nearly threw it all away in the process. Couldn't quite do it in the end, though, and Tattler will at least hold on to third, and Marcel Cincic is through into second position. Now Dane Warren's got the run, even towards Puon. Dane Warren was actually under pressure in towards Pivpaf on the last lap, by the way, from Bono House, so it can happen anywhere at this circuit. It's not all about Lecombe and the chicane at the end of the lap. You can get a good run down the hill here and have a go, and that's what Dane Warren is going to do, maybe. On the other side of the equation now, he dives it down the inside into the right-hander. They'll remain side by side because it will switch to Tattler's corner through the second part, but Dane Warren hangs it round the outside and he's up to 3rd place.
What a move! What an honestly, I thought that was a crash. I was on the I was wincing looking at the screen. I thought Warren was about to clean out Thomas Tattler there. Not on. Brilliant driving between the pair of them. It's so hard to leave room and keep a good racing line for there. So kudos to both Warren and to Tattler. But Tattler's looking like he's feeling the pressure right now. There's definitely not going to be a race victory on the hands of him. But look at Sorensen, look at House, look at Patrick Holtzman as well involved. Sorensen with the fastest lap of the race is looking to get his way further up the order. Again, all these positions, whilst they're inside the top 6, whilst they're moving through the competition, but they are all for some very valuable points which drivers like Lassie Sorensen desperately need. They are below the cut line at the moment. Days like this can turn that around.
And to be fair, Tuomas Tähtälä is not exactly safe in terms of making it to the major yet. And we know how close he got last time around in the spring. He will want a non-repeat of that, let's say, over the course of the fall season. So it's important for all of these guys. Tähtälä, Sorensen, House, Holtzman, Rankin, they're all on that bubble, if you like. And they all want to make it to the final as well as get the points that you can from semi-final number 1. 3 laps to go, including the one that we've just begun. It's Dane Warren who's going to have to defend here because Tuomas Tähtälä has stopped going backwards, stopped defending. All of a sudden he's going forwards. It's late on the brakes though from Warren, and he stood up the play through Lecom. He holds it round the outside through the first spot, and he will hold on to third place for the moment. But he's now the cork in the bottle. He hasn't been able to get away quite as successfully as the likes of Rogers and Chinchik before him.
Yeah, but out wide Warren went going through Malmedy. You can see he's pushing this car to the absolute limit. Just needs to calm himself down, get himself back involved in the race. Not really focused too much on getting the 1-2 right now. Focus on holding on to third position, but there could well be a 1-2 Porsche Commander in this race. Of course, we have had a 1-2 in a final before. Maybe Porsche Commander are looking to take that one as well. The 1-2 that we had previously was when Marco Pajic won round 6 of the spring season. It was Pajic ahead of Baldwin, neither of which are in competition today. Gertzy getting knocked out in knockout 3 and 4 yesterday. Warren then third position. The gap's looking towards about half a second. It's looking fairly comfortable for this very moment. But as soon as we go through the likes of Stavelo, Kerpel, Frere, and out of this backstretch up towards Blanchimont, and then of course the run down towards Lake Com, that's when the slipstream comes into effect, and that's when Tuomas Tähtälä is going to be knocking at the door once again, I feel.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen here, because you've got to be looking at those like Patrick Holtzman as well. He surely is not going to just lie down and take this seventh place either. It's going to feel like second because he's not quite going to make it to the final. Top 6 progress, of course, to the final that is coming up a little bit later on here this evening, which we've had semi-final number 2 as well. Tähtälä goes wide into the bus stop. Lassie Sorensen got very close there, almost too close. It allowed him to, or prevented him, I should say, from getting the run onto the front straight here. He's going to have to wait for Lecom once again, but Tuomas Tähtälä is under pressure here, so much so that you'd expect him to maybe even be worried about not finishing inside the top 6, even though he is 4th right now. What a race we're seeing so far in semi-final number 1 here for ESL R1. Tuomas Tähtälä once again is going to be on the defensive. It's now time for Lassie Sorensen to try and find his way through.
Penultimate time then up into Lake Com. They'll have this opportunity, they'll have an opportunity in a lap's time as well. You've got battles behind all of this. Luke Bennett below the cut line has caught this train back up. He was 1.3 seconds behind after the incident on lap 1. He's now knocking at the door of Elvis Rankin. I think the chance of him moving through is kind of gone, but you never really know. Do not count out Luke Bennett in that 9th position, because he may well just pull off something special, especially if there is some good luck his way, and bad luck for everyone else involved in this train. You never really know. We've already seen quite a lot of drivers being sent down that escape road, and then when it comes to the last lap, things can get a bit elbows out.
Exactly, you do just never know, and so you've got to just keep going anyway. And of course there's an extra point on the line there anyway, even if he doesn't make it through into the final anyway. Bennett could take that extra point away from Elvis Rankin, who's currently getting 4 for this race. Bennett getting 3 as they run right now. Down the hill through Puon for the penultimate time of asking here this afternoon. It's Marcel Chinchik who's at the front of the train, really, because Dane Warren has caught up to him. It's all in arrears to Josh Rogers, of course, who's nearly 2 seconds out in the front of the race. But this is the kind of battle you want to see. 8 drivers all fighting for second on backwards. Most of them, or 5 of them at least, going through into the final a little bit later on. So far, it's Tähtälä, Sorensen and House who are probably in those danger places. Patrick Holtzman's going to look for his way through as we head towards the final lap. When is Holtzman going to strike? He hasn't really made even a remote attempt on Bono House so far.
Which is a bit of a surprise, really, because we know the Audi's actually pretty decent in S1 in that first sector, on that route towards Lake Com. Really, there could be the attempt of a move down into the first corner, because the Merc's not super great on traction coming off of a bus stop, but it's such a short straight, this one. It's only what, 300-400 meters, something like in that margin. It's not a very long straight, so you can't really send any down the inside going into the first corner. So it's looking like it's a bit tricky. Holtzman doesn't really have the options. The slipstream's being gifted out between the grouping, and now our focus is on the battle for second. Ewan, could it be a Porsche Commander 1-2? Dane Warren thinks so.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't think Dane Warren had the pace to do this, actually, but over the course of the last couple of laps, he has caught Marcel Chinchik very quickly. Now, I'm not sure Dane Warren's quite got the run-through rally on there to go for it. The slipstream is going to come in handy, though. He will get down the inside at the very end here of the Kemmel Straight. It's side by side. Whoa, be careful, Dane Warren. He very nearly lost the car entirely. Marcel Chinchik hanged on for the moment. They both risked it all there, almost.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, could you imagine if you were to drop it in this scenario, how silly you'd feel, how in pain you'd feel. Obviously, you know, not going through to a final when the position was fairly secure, just trying to go after a little bit of extra glory, and obviously those really important points when it comes to the championship. I mean, he'd be closing up in the team championship, looking to try and grab second position in the team's championship, but stealing some extra points away from RHG could well be important. You never know, never count out Porsche Commando, but right now things are looking very strong, you know, for Marcel Chinchik. One final opportunity for him to defend down at the bus stop. I get the feeling he might well be able to hang on.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to do that. Josh Rogers certainly will. 2.5 seconds in front. What about Patrick Holtzman? Will he be able to get through on Bono House here? I'm not entirely sure. It's going to be very, very close for 6th place, but I think that the positions we're seeing at the moment are going to be the ones that we see at the end of semi-final number 1 as well. 7 laps of breathless racing here at Spa-Francorchamps for round 6 of ESL R1, but it looks like these are the positions they're going to end it. There is Joshua Rogers on his way to his 22nd win in ESL R1 history, and half of which have come at this very venue. His 11th victory at Spa on its way right now. Out of the final couple of corners for Joshua Rogers. He is going to be semi-final number 1 race winner, and he's going to be on for the clean sweep here this afternoon. Round 6 semi-final number 1 goes to Josh Rogers, and the top 6 behind him remains the same as well. A dominant drive again from Joshua Rogers, who wins here at Spa. There he is once again, 11 wins at this venue. Half of his wins in ESL R1 have come at this track, and he's on his way to being one of the big favourites for the final coming up a little bit later on. Everybody else is going to have to watch out, because Josh Rogers is on top form once again, and do we ever expect anything less?
I mean, just incredible. Once again, you know, he seems to piece it all together when he needs to. Again, I believe it's his 22nd win in ESL R1, which is just wild. Like you say, 11 round here. Just crazy. I mean, going into the final, I'm calling it dibs now. Just calling it. I think Josh Rogers is going to win this. But yeah, I thought I'd just jump that one in right there before any of you lot steal him away from me. We'll take a look at some highlights, though, from the race. Of course, we're focused here on Tata. Of course, started this one from pole position, Ewan. You know, led down into that first corner. Started to go a little bit backwards, though. Started to go a little bit awry as the race kind of went on. You know, various drivers were able to work their way past. Of course, first of all, was Joshua Rogers with this move here. But you know, how good is this kind of racing between the pair of them? This contact was a bit unnecessary. But other than that, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And in the end, the two of them fought it out well, but Tattler dropped back. And there was a stage in here, Lewis, I've got to say, where I thought Tattler could drop out the top 6. He was really falling back lap on lap, and I thought he could be in a bit of trouble here. But he stemmed the tide quite well, didn't he? He started defending a little bit better. Yeah, certainly so. I mean, you can see there's Marcel Chinchik straight around the outside, taking him down into the X-curve, no name, all that kind of stuff. Then at this point, I thought maybe he'd settle himself. Another run down into Lecom, another look down the inside from Marcel Chinchik, and another brave move from the Hungarian, as you can see. Big snaps of oversteer from this grouping as well. Door was almost open for Dane Warren, who was getting pretty aggressive as well, forcing Thomas Tattler out wide. Again, you know, the opportunity was kind of there for Warren to eventually get his way through. This is where he made it. This has got to be up there with one of the moves that we've seen at all in ESL R1. It was so brave, so bold, just about the right amount of space given. Incredible stuff. But whilst we're all waiting for all that to unfold, I think George Morgan has Lassie Sorensen for a little bit of a chat.
I cannot hear anything actually right now, so.
Well, I'm gonna swipe George Morgan away because we don't want to see any of him. I'm gonna take over with Lassie Sorensen. It's fine. The pressure is off, Lassie, because you've got me to deal with. Hopefully, I'll get you in and we'll have a little bit of a chinwag about that race. Of course, you finished inside the top 6. Yeah, and again, you've got a good record with doing this at the moment.
Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, I was also a bit lucky from the crash happening on lap 1. I gained, I think, three or four places only on that part. But yeah, I don't know. I seem to find it a lot more comfortable doing the races. I feel very confident, and I think like my pace in the races are a lot faster than actually in quali, which is where I'm struggling at the moment, just to nail that one lap. But I'm working hard on it, and I'm trying to do my best to actually perform better in qualifying, because I think if I can do that, then I'm also in the mix for fighting for top positions. So I have a good teammate showing how it needs to be done, Kaiki, so I have to learn from him.
Now, you're presently, below the cut line. What do you feel like your chances are of progressing through this week? Because you seem to be building up round to round, and getting better on Wrenchball.
Yeah, my biggest problem is actually time-wise. I'm doing my own business besides, so it takes a lot of hours, and I don't really have that enough amount of hours to put into Rennsport. So I'm hoping that soon the business will start to be less busy, and then I can start to put more time into Rennsport and actually focus on being a sim racer, which is what I love and what I like to do.
Well, fine. I'm just going to give you one quick question. Obviously, you'll be going through to the final. What are your chances? What are you aiming for? Top 10? Top 5?
All depends on the qualifying. If I can get a good lap in qualifying, I would say let's go for a top 6. I would say is realistic.
Well, cheers, Lassie. Thank you so much. We'll head back to George and keep our fingers crossed that we can actually hear him this time.
You can hear me loud and clear now, Lewis. Yes, indeed. I had a bit of fun with the mute button, but we are back. And certainly we're going to be having a quick chat as well with our resident race director. That is Adrian. So we're going to just cross-reference with him and just find out what's going on. Adrian, quite an electric start to that race, we'll say. Quite the issue heading up through towards Les Combes. Can you give us some insight?
Sure, obviously enough. We had an immediate look, because obviously we were watching live, and we saw that incident happening live, and obviously had a look there, and obviously we found that Kevin Ellis actually created the whole incident, which affected another 3 drivers. So it was quite severe. We saw him quite aggressively trying to overtake Max, and obviously losing his car.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it comes down to incidents such as that, Adrian, I don't think, obviously, many of the audience actually understand what it takes to go through matters such as this. When you're assessing an incident like that, of that nature, when you've got 2, should we say, innocent bystanders as such, what goes into your way of thinking when scrutinising that particular event? In fact, we've got live pictures here.
Yeah, actually, what we do, it's like we look into the incident itself, what caused the incident, you know what I mean? And we don't look at the outcome of it, but obviously enough, that particular incident, when you see actually how Kevin Ellis actually went on the grass, then obviously went to the right, aggressively also losing his car and hitting Max and affecting other drivers in that particular incident, it was actually classified as causing a collision on the severe side from our side.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Adrian, for your insight. Really do appreciate it. I'm sure we'll join you again very soon.
Thank you.
There we are, Adrian Fidalgo, everybody, the race director for ESL R1. Let's go and check out the results from semi-final 1 as well, and take you through what actually occurred. Joshua Rogers goes back-to-back race victor again in the quarterfinal knockouts. Follow that up now with a semi-final 1 victory. Marcel Chinchik bringing RHE back into the fold as well. Dane Warren making it a 1-3, 2 podiums in a single race. Couldn't have gone much better for them. Only way it could have is if Dane Warren got second. Thomas Tackler, despite being on pole, unable to grasp the victory, but 4th will grant him a move into the next round as well, with Lassie Sorensen laying claim to that P5 and Bono House getting through for Mercedes. So quite the round kicking us off, and we have plenty of other things to stir up. But first of all, folks, before we stir anything else up, be sure to check out the survey that we have on offer. Use !survey and make sure you scan that QR code to let us know your thoughts on ESL R1 and Rennsport. You could be in with a chance of laying claim to 5 tickets for the DreamHack Winter event. But now, next semi-final coming up here, Lewis. I know that you're just hot off the burners, aren't you? After that one, it certainly was a sensational race. Lots of squabbling. I think the most dramatic point though was that early incident. But we've got another semi-final to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always quite a bit to go through in this. The knockouts from this one, it was Siggy taking the victory. And I've got to say, the highlight of the entire day yesterday, which I kind of thought, we had a few flashes, of entertainment. The fourth race was kind of a bit flat. The battle between Siggy and Job was unreal in the third knockout. Absolutely fantastic. And when I say they're side by side for the whole lap, I'm not exaggerating there. They were literally side by side for the entire 7 kilometers of Spa. Incredible stuff. Even a certain Formula 1 world champion was having a little bit of a watch there. Max Verstappen, obviously keeping his eye on Team Redline.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to have Max on view. Another driver we ought to look at as well is Tommy Usgaard. Of course, we'll look at him in depth because he took his first victory of the season here, of course, in the full season, that is. And there you have it. Tommy Usgaard started out in karting. However, soon enough, the single-seater karts could no longer contain him, and he moved up to the bigger single-seaters. He is certainly a driver to watch and has really shown that he is cut amongst the rest when it comes to sim racing himself. The Norwegian, as I said, winner in the quarter-final knockouts of yesterday, and now looking to plumb for another big result. And it's looking okay for Heroic, isn't it, here, Lewis? Because they've just seen the likes of Thomas Tatler delivering the goods, a pole as well last time out. And I'm pleased to say that we do have the team manager from Heroic with us as well. So we will go across to an interview from him. And here he is, Nikolai Hansen. Nikolai, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, guys. I'm doing really well.
Well, it's great to have you with us. Obviously, off the back of a sensational Thomas Tatler result. That's one driver through. You've now got Tommy Usgaard, who's coming up next. What are your thoughts? How do you assess your chances?
No, I think we have a really good chance. Tommy is feeling confident, just as Thomas is also feeling confident. So I think we're in on a good run today.
Look, I saw you were disappointed with me on social media. Obviously, I didn't pick any of the Heroic drivers yesterday. All right, fair enough. I picked both of them today, by the way, just saying to go through into the final. Obviously, one of those being correct. You've got to be super proud of the progress that's been made. That we see from Thomas Tatler and from Tommy Usgaard. They're both kind of piecing their way together and really moving forward in the season.
Yeah, I'm really happy, but we're having a bit of the same problem as we had last season. We've been starting off really slow, having a hard time finding ourselves, and then later on in the season we're starting to build up. Even though the pressure has been mounting, and we had to gain points to get to the major both times. Last season for Tommy, this time was for Tommy and Thomas right now. It's kind of like now it's all falling together. We got confident, and now we're feeling like we have a good shot of getting 2 guys to the major.
Well, Nikolai, I just want to say, I backed you guys all the way, so forget what Lewis McGlade said, okay? It's absolutely fine. But just want to ask you now, I'm going to put you on the line. Which of your drivers do you think is for sure going to make it to the major?
I must have to take the safe choice with Thomas here. He's gaining a lot of points these rounds, and it's already within the line. So yeah, Thomas is the safe bet.
Well, thank you very much, Nikolai. I'm sure we'll look forward to seeing how you get on. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikolai Hansen, everybody from Heroic. Let's take a look, folks, at semi-final 2, because we've got a lineup to bring you that is certainly very exciting. So let's take a deep dive after a very emphatic semi-final 1. Semi-final 2 now about to come up. And naturally, with some of the drivers that are on show, it certainly will provide a very, very interesting run here, certainly around Spa-Francorchamps, Lewis. And, well, of course, we look at the likes of Sebastian Job, who is a sensation. He's got plenty of threats around him, including Mustachio, Kevin Siggy, and Yuri as well. A side chance for Kaiki Oliveira, do you think?
Yeah, no, to be fair for Oliveira, it's just about getting into that top 6. He's so good at it, by the way. We've just getting himself involved in that top 6, getting into a final. Maybe there is a bit more up for grabs. In this one, when you're kind of like looking at it, I will say the Porsches generally as a car have been really quick around this circuit. So kind of like you look on here, and this is obviously in championship order, so you look at like Sebastian Job, Yuri Kasdorp at the top. But kind of like my favourites to kind of move through, it's almost like when you look further down, you get Mitchell deJong, Mac Backham, Tommy Usgaard, that kind of group where they're in those Porsches. Those really do have a solid chance of working their way through here, even though you've got the top 2 in the championship fighting first and second, and even Mustachio wants to chuck a bit in there for another race victory.
Yeah, and just to raise your point on Porsche Coander, of course, they've got 2 drivers again in this semi-final. Of course, now you've got the Big Mac back and Mitchell deJong. Now, they would have just watched back the likes of Josh Rogers and also their other compadre taking P3, of course, being Dane Warren. They must take a huge amount of confidence from a performance like that, Lewis. What does that do to a driver?
I mean, I don't really. Every driver kind of reacts differently to it. You know, when you see your teammates doing well, some people react to it in a really positive way. They go faster. Quite a lot of drivers, even at kind of, to be fair, it's more common at this level. When you see your teammates do well, you almost like don't really care. You're like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, I've still got my job to do. That doesn't really matter. Like, I still have to deliver myself for my team. So it's kind of like, it depends what kind of mentality you're at, and sometimes there is that sort of just lone wolf mentality that you kind of got to just got to stick with it whilst you fight as a team. You've got to just fight for yourself here.
Yeah, well, we spoke about mentality with Mehdi from RHG. Let's see what his driver thought when we caught up with Yuri Toman earlier on.
As far as how the season is going for me so far, I'm very happy with it. Finally, last time in Monza, got my first round win, and I have been in the final as well every single time. Currently P2 in the championship. So yeah, the goal for sure now is to get as many points as possible before the major in Sweden, and also definitely try to finally clinch the team championship that we've been working so hard for.
Yeah, Yuri Toman there just giving his insights heading into yet another semi-final. 3 times a race winner already this fall season here, Lewis. Carries some weight as well after, well, ever since we got started really at Katowice in February. And one of the real staunch members alongside the likes of Marcel Cinczyk and Erhan Yujovski to grant some major success here as well for RHG. He definitely is a force to be reckoned with, but I think he's been battling his own demons in a certain way. We certainly haven't seen necessarily while the presence of Yuri Toman that we may have seen in the early seasons, but he is still chipping away at those podiums, still finding the odd result here and there.
The thing is with Yuri is that I rarely kind of see him as like a driver that can that will win a race, right? And to be fair, when you look at it, the amount of podiums he's had, what, like 25 odd podiums in this, since we've started, but has had 4 victories. The thing with him though is that that almost actually says better than what you kind of think. The fact that he's had so many podiums, he's always there. He's got one of the highest percentages of top 6s of the entire field, and you can kind of just see that in the way he approaches this. It's not a win it or bin it mentality. And to be honest, I love that. I love seeing the fact of the slightly more reserved driver. And also, I've got a fun fact about Yuri Toman, is that he sits closer to the wheel than I think anyone else. Even my grandmother doesn't sit as close to her wheel in her car as Yuri Toman does to his sim rig. It's wild.
Well, he's a very committed driver, isn't he? I mean, we look back at Spa in round 2. He, of course, a race winner in the first knockout event, obviously, that we had. And then following on from that, wasn't quite able to clinch the, should we say, more victories at Spa. Wasn't necessarily able to do the back-to-backs that we've seen from the likes of Sebastian Job. But nevertheless, I think RHG take a very different stance on the way that they prep for each round. It's not just about one solitary driver. It's more about the collective performance, the collective mentality of every single member they've got in their team. So when you factor in the likes of Marcel Cinczyk, whilst Yuri Toman isn't necessarily as imposing as perhaps someone else would be, when you bring in the likes of Cinczyk and then Erhan Yujovski, and in some cases the likes of Risto Capit and the others, Thibaut Casabon as well, they're quite a force to be reckoned with. So the team's championship, that equation, would you say that's top of their priority hit list?
To be fair, I think it's kind of fairly set. They're mostly focused on making sure that Thibaut Casabon goes to Sweden, and mostly focused on making sure that Yuri Toman is as close as he can possibly be to Sebastian Job. We'll take a look at a head-to-head between the top 2 in the championship, because of course, looking at their stats, seeing how things have been piecing together between Job, between Toman throughout the season, it's always quite interesting to see that top 2 dynamic between them. Separated by a fair amount on points, but nothing too crazy. But then, that's kind of what you expect. Sebastian Joe's been so strong this season. It's mostly, for me, it's that average grid position. The fact that they're always inside that top 5, 3rd, 4th. Yes, it's separated by a single position, but there's always a smaller decimal in there as well. These two, honestly, so far this season have been very similar.
Yeah, they have. They've been so tight. And obviously, Sebastian Job, who is has been absolutely, his form has been righteous here around Spa-Francorchamps historically, coming off the back of double race victories as well. I mean, he's scored many a great feat. He alone, actually, the sole driver to have 3 in a row, shall we say, in terms of race wins, dating all the way back to round 1 at Monza. I mean, obviously, we could yet see the same feat again this time at Spa. We can have a look at another head-to-head as well that's quite interesting as well. The likes of Tommy Usgaard, who we have spoken about as well time and time again. He would have just witnessed Thomas Tattler performing well for the heroic team. And now it's all down to his heroics to see what he can plant against the likes of Yuri Kasdorp. 53 total points against 43 that Kasdorp has put together. But take a look at those top 6s. Tight as anything. 10 going to Kasdorp, 11 to Usgaard, with 4 podiums being granted Tommy Usgaard's way against the 2 that Kasdorp has put together. Now, whilst Usgaard is only one-time a race winner here this series, and that being in this very round, in round 6 in the quarterfinal knockouts, he has won races before here, Lewis, and is quite the imposing figure. Seems to improve every time he competes in these events.
Yeah, got to say though, 2 very different drivers in their job for the day. Tommy Usgaard looking to get through into the final, join his teammate Thomas Tattler. Yuri Kasdorp, now the lone driver for Mouse. We don't have Moritz Lerner, finished 7th yesterday, and we no longer have Maximilian Benneker and Patrick Holtzman after issues in the festival. So he's it. He's Mouse's hope now to move his way through. And of course, he's got his own fight to try and get into the top 24. So he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders as little Yuri.
Yeah, well, Yuri himself has been quite vocal on social media as well in terms of the sheer mentality behind competing in an event such as this. And whilst it might seem easy just to hop into your sim rig and just start racing, when you look at the inner complexities about what it takes for a driver to perform at the highest level, when you've got the strength, the sheer strength of numbers, and also the teams that are behind the forces and the freaks of nature that race around these tracks here in ESL R1, it really is a tough business. And you've got Yuri, someone who is a professional, someone who's really challenged one against the best as well. Historically has been very successful in esports competitions in sim racing. Now back again, this time in ESL R1, and it can be such a strange test. Can he, though, cope with the stress against Tommy Usgaard? We'll have to find out. Of course, he is relentless. We are going to have a look, though, at some predictions. And I'm going to predict here at this point that it's going to be another W in the box for Sebastian Job. What about you?
Okay, that's fine. I'm going with Kevin Siggy. I am committing to Mustachio. He won yesterday, beat Sebastian Job, so I'm going to commit on that side. Don't know what Mr. Ewan O'Leary feels. I hear he's still hanging around the commentary booth. What do you think, Mr. O'Leary?
Hanging around makes it sound like I'm not invited. But anyway, I'll move past that. I'm going to go for Yuri Toman. We've just been talking about him there. I think he's going to take a lot of confidence from that round win that he finally got at round 5. I think it's been long overdue for him, to be honest with you. And now that he's got it, he's only going to push on further from that. I know he doesn't win that often, especially compared to his actual driver talent, if you like. And he does build his championships on consistency, as we were just talking about. But why not Yuri Toman for a semi-final victory in a couple of moments' time?
Right, boys, I'm about to bounce because it's my time to sit back and watch you two get on with it with semi-final 2. But do not forget, ! survey. Let us know what you think about ESL R1, about where we've been, about where we're potentially going. And you might well get yourselves 5 tickets to come along to DreamHack Winter as well. Without further ado, over to the boys, to George and to Ewan, to see who's going to be our next 6 drivers to move through into the final.
Well, thank you very much, Lewis McGlade. And yes, semi-final 2 is just around the corner. I got to say, just talking about Yuri Toman there, that eyebrow raise is something that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would be jealous of. I can tell you that now. But Ewan, looking ahead to this one, we just witnessed, obviously, a very busy incident at the very start. We caught word from Adrian about how it was factored in. It seemed pretty cut and shut, really, that obviously it was Kevin Ellis Jr. who got penalised for that extent. The drivers obviously would have watched that previously. What are the kinds of thoughts do you think run through those drivers' heads when they see something like that happen on track?
Well, I think it can go one of two ways. It either sets the tone for the evening, and we're going to see something similar to that in race 2 or semi-final 2, and then the final as well. Or indeed, it makes everyone think, you know, whoa, we need to calm down here for a second, because that was absolute madness, the first semi-final. We don't want a repeat of that, so we're just going to take things a little bit more cautiously, especially on the start. Lap 1, we know, of course, can produce so much drama at this circuit. So it's either going to go one of those two ways, really. I do have a feeling that there is going to be a slight calmness that washes over everyone before this second semi-final, having seen what's gone before them. But you just never know. These races are so unpredictable. Who could have predicted that those 6 to go out in the last semi-final? We just do not know what's going to happen.
No, you certainly don't. And any moment now, folks, we will be making our way into qualification for semi-final 2. And of course, we witnessed Thomas Tattler taking pole last time with a 2:14.224. So that is the benchmark, shall we say, at this point. Will it be the case that we see it get beaten? It truly was a sensational lap. Obviously, we've got so many imposing figures taking part in this particular event. We've, of course, just looked at Yuri Toman. We looked at Tommy Usgaard, who can bring home a big performance on his day. Kevin Siggy, certainly ruthless for Team Redline. We'll have to see what he can bring to the table. But also Sebastian Job, one of the form players in this championship. Full season, he has really taken it by storm and is looking to once again put another notch on his lapel. But first, we're going to be joining Tommy Usgaard, who makes his way out of La Source, and then he'll make his way through towards Eau Rouge and Radion, over the crest towards the Kemmel Straight. Very integral to make sure you get your confidence laid down here at this very circuit, get the rubber burnt in to the asphalt and the track itself as he now powers his way through the forests and the woods of Stavelot as he now takes a trip uphill leading up through towards Les Combes. Now you need to make sure you prime your braking point. Obviously, like I said earlier on, they would have seen Kevin Ellis Jr.'s incident in the race that ended pretty much the prospects of Max Benneker and also Dara McCormack. Unfortunately as well, as now we see Oscar keeping it nice and tight, making his way through this next right-hander, heading down the hill now towards Rivage section. Needs to try and prime his braking point again. Heavy braking zone here at this particular bend. Want to try and hug the inside as best you can, feather that throttle, and then power your way, heading through towards No Name Corner, also known as the Jackie X Bend. Now making his way downhill, a little bit of speech coming out of his mouth, as I think he'll be conversing with his relevant team members at Heroic. We saw the gaps earlier on at the start of qualifying, or certainly at the start of qualifying, early stages of qualifying for semi-final 1. And there's a great chance we could be seeing something tight here again, Ewan.
Yeah, very much so. Great first sector, by the way, from Tommy Usgaard there. A 38.6 is exactly what we want to see from the first sector. But I think that little bit of speech from him in this middle sector is the fact that it maybe isn't quite going so well. A 59.6 is really what we're looking for around here. Are we going to get there? No. 59.9. And that's exactly what Tommy Usgaard was talking about a little bit earlier on. This was not quite going so well. This will be a 14.3 if he's lucky. He's going to need a big final sector to manage even that.
Yeah, he certainly will do, making his way through towards the Blanchimont section, one of the fastest sections here at this very track. And then he's got a really, really tough braking zone here at bus stop now as he tries to leave it as late as possible without leaving himself too far away from the apex. Manages to masterfully make his way through bus stop, and now riding over the curbs as he makes his way out towards the line now. And that will be a 2:14.480, a 35.8 in the final sector for Tommy Usgaard.
And that right-hand turn into the barrier there tells you exactly what you need to know about that opening lap of the day. Tommy Usgaard not pleased at all, and he's going to have a big job in his hands to get into the top 6. Once again, unfortunately for Usgaard, qualifying has been his downfall. Now Mitchell de Jong, another one of the Porsches, the Porsche Coanda team, of course, looking to get 4 drivers into the final. Mitchell de Jong puts a solid lap in there. A 2:14.3 will be decent, but how will that stack up over the rest of the field? As Thibaut Casabon is going to be next to the line.
Yeah, Thibaut Casabon, incidentally, just making his way through the lap now, and quite the fight on his hands. Obviously, has been looking to try and coop up the points required in order to make sure that he can essentially qualify for a trip to Sweden. So we've got yet another major to bring you, of course, fresh off the back of Munich not too long ago. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see our current P1 sitter, Mitchell de Jong, who is so confident that he's going to get out of his seat as Thibaut Casabon comes in towards the final chicane here at bus stop. And here at this point now, hugging tight to the inside again. He's going to make his way up towards the line. Is he going to usurp Usgaard? Might he go a little bit further as he now crosses the line? 2:14.405 certainly puts him ahead of Usgaard, 69 thousandths away from Mitchell de Jong.
And Yuri Kasdorp is going to come over the line very, very soon after the RHG driver. What's it going to be for Kasdorp as he goes over the line? 14.4 for him, only third for the moment. He's still less than a 10th from pole, but not where he needs to be right now. Still waiting for the real fast times of this session to come in. Are we going to get some 14.2s in semi-final number 2?
Well, we'll certainly wait and see. Jeffrey Rietveld could be the one that will certainly give chase. Makes his way through bus stop chicane, and will now look to hook this one up as well. 38.7 in sector 1 is certainly reasonable. Makes his way up towards the line as he now looks to usher in a big lap time. A fish shake certainly says it all at 2:14.273. Takes provisional pole and 63 thousandths faster than Mitchell deJong.
And that may be enough. That may be enough for pole. Maybe the front row as well. We'll have to see what the times are going to be for the rest of the field. Jamie Fluke has impressed recently in qualifying as Apex Racing Team have taken to this Mercedes like a duck to water over the course of the fall season in 2023. Jamie Fluke will make his way towards the line now, and he gets a 14.3 of his own. It's third place for Fluke. He's not quite enough to get onto the front row, but here's Sebastian Job. If ever there's a man to beat Jeffrey Rietveld, then it is him.
Yeah, if anyone could do the job, it certainly is Sebastian. 3 cars now exist in the same 10th of a second up at the top. Rietveld deJong, Jamie Fluke, proving that he is no fluke. 72 thousandths away from the top time. Can Sebastian Job usher in a time of his own? The sector 1 time looks okay. Sector 2 looks okay too. Goes fastest immediately. And what a time as well. Over a 10th of a second quicker. Very nearly 1.5 tenths as Kevin Siggy comes in to join the party.
That lap is absolutely unbelievable for Sebastian Job. We thought he wouldn't go quicker than his round 2 time here in the fall season, but he just has done. A 2:14.1 is absolutely unbelievable. Surely Kevin Siggy isn't going to be able to beat that. I'd be somewhat surprised if anyone gets within a 10th of him. Over the line for Kevin Siggy, it's only third. No one's getting anywhere near that time.
Red line currently sit 2 and 3 at this point, with Rietveld currently occupying just the space, as I said before, just above a 10th of a second. Behind that is Sebastian Job, as now currently it is the G2 esports man who has really been carrying his team really strongly throughout this championship and is looking to usher in yet another stellar showing here this time around. We have got another BMW though making its way through the final sector. Keke Oliveira, the Brazilian, looking to show and display the passion that has brought them to the dance time and time again. Keke Oliveira now across the line, only 8th fastest and just over 3/10 of a second in behind Sebastian Job. But here comes Yuri Toman and RHG. What can they usher in this time?
The gaps are absolutely huge in this session right now. What 2:14.133 is not going to be beaten here by Yuri Toman, but he could join him on the front row. It's not actually been too bad of a lap so far for Yuri, but what's the time going to be? It's only 7th. Danger for the man second place in the championship as his main rival Job sets what surely is an unbeatable lap time. Mac Backham will do his best to try and beat it next.
Yeah, very underwhelming showing there from Yuri Toman. He's going to be disappointed, you can imagine. Sebastian Job, what a time, 2:14.133. Currently ushers himself into P1, but Big Mac Backup on his return from injury proper has had to deal with his own trials and tribulations. Is he, though, going to bounce back strong as he now crosses the line? No, not quite. 10th fastest and over 3/10 of a second slower than Sebastian Job. And for the final car to come around now, this time it's the turn of Johan Harth and ART. Can he join Jamie Fluke in the top 6?
I think he might well be able to here. It's a good middle sector from Johan Harth actually here in the ART Mercedes. I think he will be able to get over both of the RHG drivers, maybe even get onto the front 2 rows for the Frenchman. Over the line he goes. It's a 14.3. It is onto the second row. Johan Harth makes it into 4th place, but what a time as we look at the starting grid.
Yeah, let's go from back to front here for the starting grid for semi-final 2. Tommy Usgaard, unfortunately at the back, starting 12th fastest, just behind Mac Backham, who starts P11 here at this point. P10, Keke Oliveira and Team Furia with Yuri Kasdorp and Mouse starting P9. P8, Yuri Toman, he'll be disappointed. He's got his teammate though for company, Thibaut Casabon in 7th. We got ART's very own Jamie Fluke starting in 6th, with Mitchell deJong and Porsche Coanda starting in P5. Johan Harth starting above his teammate in 4th place on the second row, with Kevin Siggy donning that P3 spot for Team Redline. Front row though, it went to Jeffrey Rietveld, just 1 above his teammate Kevin Siggy, but Sebastian Job back with an eclectic lap time that brought him to the dance. And once again, we're seeing a young man who's looking to once again rise to the occasion, as he so rightly did at Monza all the way back in round 1. Remember, he took that triple P1 result in the quarterfinal, semi-final and the final, but he's back on top again after snatching pole position, should I say, here at Spa. And I tell you what, I can't wait to see him, what he can deliver. Can he bring it home? Of course, that's the big bold question. It's one thing to do it in qualifying. It's another thing, though, however, to take victory here at this very historic track, Ewan.
It is a very different thing, but just set that all aside for a second. What an unbelievable lap from Sebastian Job. I mean, I said it earlier on, I don't think we're going to see a new best time around Spa. Well, no, Sebastian Job had other ideas, clearly. And also, forget about the time for a second. Look at the amount of gap that he has over the rest of the field. I can't remember a time ever where pole position has been separated to second place by more than 1/10 of a second over any qualifying session we've ever seen in ESL R1. I can't remember one off the top of my head anyway. That is just unbelievable marker of where he is at the moment, Sebastian Job. And he's just taken this world by storm. He wasn't there for the start of the spring season, of course, in ESL R1. He so nearly made it to the major anyway, despite only doing half the rounds, or maybe even less than that. Now he's doing a full season. He's showing exactly what he can do by leading the championship, setting times like that, setting the world on fire. It's just unbelievable to see.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if your mind has been blown, or if it has been blown enough, come and join our survey and see if you could put through your thoughts here at ESL R1 and Rennsport. Be in with a chance of glee and claim to 5 tickets to the big event, the big major coming up in Sweden, a DreamHack Winter as well. Just use !survey, scan the QR code using your phone and register your thoughts here about ESL R1 and also the Rennsport platform as well. We really do appreciate your support, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you so much. But we have got a race counting down, and it definitely looks like it's going to be a corker. Of course, lining up at the front end, Sebastian Job. What else? What other superlatives do we have for this young man? Of course, as we all know, has been a champion among Porsches in the past, is now proving to be quite a force behind a BMW and representing G2 esports, and plenty of action certainly to behold. Very many as we now look to get set for the race. Of course, all the drivers now lining up onto the grid here at Spa-Francorchamps as we sit tight and get set to go racing. This time, we just witnessed, of course, a very, very special race in race 1. Now, once again, we're hearing the revving of engines this time around as the lights now go red. 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th light here at Spa. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 and getting away straight away off the line, Sebastian Job, who did a very super job holding the pace on the front end as the 2 red lines come together. Rietveld and Siggy now battling away. Johan Harth in behind too, very quickly being joined by Mitchell deJong in behind as well, as they now have to sort themselves out. They make their way up towards the crest. Johan Harth with the upper hand this time around on Mitchell deJong, who's having to drop down a place as then they make their way over the crest through towards the Kemmel Straight. Up at the front, it is still Sebastian Job. He leads the way, but the 2 red line cars now under severe threat as now they enter Johan Harth, who looks to go around the outside. Can he take P3 immediately in the opening lap? They go wheel to wheel. The Merc strikes. He takes P3 here in lap 1. Takes P3 away from the red line team. Of course, now that relegates Jeffrey Rietveld down to 4th place.
Does, but the top 4 remain the same as to who they actually are at this stage. Further back, it's all on here between these 3 at the back. Mac and Octavius Good and Kaiki Oliver were 3 wide out of Malmedy on that particular occasion. They've sorted it out a little bit now, but fighting over 11th place is no way to get into the top 6. Oscar has made up a place at least, and he's got up into 11th for the moment, with Kaiki Oliver now bringing up the rear here in the field. Thankfully, it's a cleaner start from what we got in semi-final number 1.
Yeah, it is a cleaner start. No drivers coming unstuck, should I say. Heading through the early stages, certainly no crashes. We have certainly had a great battle, though, as the RAG team of Thibaut Kasdorp and Yuri Toman looking to lift themselves. They're currently sitting in the elimination zone. Remember, top 6 go through to our final race of the evening and will contest to be final winners when we make our way through the latter stages of tonight's competition. As we now see them make their way through towards Blanchimont, right on the tail here of Jamie Flip is Thibaut Kasdorp, really risen to the occasion since he stepped up for RAG. Of course, remember, Risto Capit once represented the team. It's now the turn of Thibaut Kasdorp to represent them this time around, the multicoloured Predator. That, of course, you can see him blazoned on the left left. It certainly is a predator. This car, indeed, the Audi R8 LMS that has proven to be a stern contender in the world of GT3 racing. Now looking to usher in a brand new era, this time in ESL R1. Of course, RAG know exactly what it takes to lay claim to winning races, and they're going to look to try and bring themselves to the forefront this time around in terms of qualifying for the final later on tonight. First of all, though, the ART Mercedes of Jamie Fluke. Mitchell deJong just in front of him. They're going to climb it through Eau Rouge and Radiant, nose to tail. Nothing separates them. The straight could be fruitful here for Thibaut Casabon. Can he unlock the door?
Well, we'll see if Jeffrey Rietveld can do the same as well, because Johan Hart is going to be under pressure there as well. Through the middle of the road goes Jamie Fluke, and now to the outside goes Thibaut Casabon. He's going to be squeezed as much as possible by Jamie Fluke. He'll go round the outside anyway, though, will Casabon. Let's see if he can do this. Not quite on this occasion. He'll have the outside for Malmedy. That's not going to happen. Meanwhile, up front, Rietveld did indeed get past Johan Hart for third place.
Yeah, fantastic fight back from Jeffrey Rietveld. Remember, losing the place in the opening lap, has just managed to grab it back to make it a P2 and P3 situation for Team Redline. But I bet you bottom dollar that Johan Hart is going to look to try and take it back. Certainly, great display of tenacity from the likes of Thibaut Casabon, race winner back at Hockenheim in the quarter-final knockout action not too long ago. Of course, that'll be in round 3. We've come away to 3 rounds since then, and he's going to look for yet another podium celebration. But first of all, needs to get himself into the top 6. That is the priority. Remember, folks, the longer you remain in the competition, the more points you will score, and Casabon knows all about that. Yuri Toman in behind too, just watching it all unfold with Yuri Kasdorp, the sole mouse in this lineup of cars. Mac Backham just behind him too. As I said, returning from injury, he has had his challenges and certainly walls that he has had to jump. But nevertheless, we all know how good he truly is. Tom Usgaard as well, watching it all unfold with Kike Oliveira having an uncomfortable opening run as he makes his way around in 12th place. As we now watch Johan Hart make his way around Blanchimont, keeping it tight as he looks to try and open the door this time on Jeffrey Rietveld, who has incidentally lost quite a lot of time to his teammate in Cabodre, Kevin Siggy. 1.5 seconds now, the gap now. And I'd imagine that this is Rietveld doing the job here. Is he just alleviating Kevin Siggy some pressure at this stage so he can just focus on Sebastian Job?
Well, it could be a bit of team play here from Team Redline, or it could just be the realism of the pace of where they are right now. That was a lot of diving, oh my word. Oh, and around goes Mitchell deJong, was that maybe? It was. Mitchell deJong in one of the Porsche Commanders has gone around at turn 1. It was carnage on the way towards turn 1. We had a calm opening couple of laps, but it's all gone away on lap 3 as Mitchell deJong goes to the back of the pack.
He certainly does, and RAG get both cars into the top 6 as a response, but now straight away, Jamie Fluke is on the attack, as is Yuri Kasdorp, who now smells an opportunity. RAG put up the wall as they look to charge up through towards Lane.com. Team building at its finest, as they now challenge on the outside. Jamie Fluke going in deep as he goes wheel to wheel, this time with Thibaut Casabon, who fights back straight away, heading through the next right-hander, but now down into Rivage. RAG hold on, through now goes Yuri Kasdorp as he looks to dive in the sister Audi R8. And none of the RAGs, Kike Oliveira in the mix of all this. Carnage here in lap 3.
Well, can you believe it? Lap 3 is where it's all kicked off here, and it's not going to go away either. Thibaut Casabon's now 6th, but Yuri Kasdorp right behind is not going to let him have that one for sure. Jeffrey Rietveld and Johan Hart has been afforded a bit of a gap as a result of Yuri Toman might just be good enough now to get into the final as well. But what on earth went on down here? It was all on between Jamie Fluke and Thibaut Casabon, I think it was, in towards turn 1, and it's the Porsche Commanders who come out with the tail between their legs, and unfortunately they're now 11th and 12th.
RAG might be in trouble there. I know that race director Adrian Fidalgo is going to be watching on, and this might be certainly looking like it could be a bad day at the office for RAG. We'll have to wait and see, but it definitely looked like there was some contact heading through towards La Source. Now, will that take one of the cars from RAG out of the equation for the top 6? We'll have to wait and see. Mac Backham and Mitchell deJong ended up colliding together on the outset of that incident, heading through turn 1, and unfortunately now see themselves propping up the rest of the grid order. It's gone certainly from what would have been a blissful scenario to being the worst of nightmares for Mac Backham and Mitchell deJong. And now at this stage is Jeffrey Rietveld now looks to squabble. He's now making his way. Is he in the pits? Jeffrey Rietveld dropping through the field, and he's now down to 11th place.
Oh, he's in here. He's having a drive-through penalty. Jeffrey Rietveld has got a drive-through penalty and will drop to the very back of this field. So all of a sudden, the tune changes again. Yuri Towen's up to 4th. Thibaut Casamon's now feeling a bit safer in 5th, and Yuri Kasdorp might be making his way into the final once again here at Spa. What a race we're seeing so far, and we're only just about halfway through it at the moment. Will Kasdorp decide to stay behind now, or is he going to go for it anyway? He will do, despite the fact there's not a place in the final on the line between these two anymore. Yuri Kasdorp still wants 5th position, and he will go around the outside through the second part to give him the inside at Malmedy, and Kasdorp will be through. No! Thibaut Casamon goes round the outside through Malmedy, and they're still locked together.
Yeah, Kasdorp certainly showing his ruthless streak now as they remain side by side, heading through now towards the Jackie Expend Tiger line here for Kasibon, who looks to fight back here against Kasdorp. They remain wheel to wheel on the outset. Audi v Audi as they look to club down through towards the Pouhon section, wheel to wheel as they make their way through towards the next lift. Just nipping off though, Kasdorp not giving an inch, he's not giving up. And Thibaut Casamon enter Kaiki Oliveira. Fury are now looking to join the party as they take a look down the inside. They've been wheel to wheel through 2 sectors as a whole. They make it 3 as they make their way in towards the latter stages of this lap. Kasdorp and Casamon, a tug of war between 2 Audi R8s.
Unbelievable racing. Thibaut Casamon makes it through in the end, going round the outside of Stavolo. I don't know how Yuri Kasdorp didn't get that move done eventually. He went around the outside for Pouhon, for goodness sake, and still didn't make it work. Absolutely fantastic racing for 5th position. Kaiki Oliveira, Jamie Fluke, Tommy Uscott, and Mac Backham are all here now as well. There's going to be some dives here into the bus stop chicane as Jamie Fluke goes for it. It's not going to happen, and he stepped out of line, and so Tommy Uscott's going to try and go through. That's not going to happen either. What a race we are seeing, and there's still 3 laps to go.
You might have remembered Kaiki Oliveira. He was at the back of the field earlier on. He's managed to grind and, well, certainly claw his way higher up this order. He's now P7 and on the cusp of getting through to the top 6. And we all know what that means, folks. If he gets through into the top 6, there's a great chance he'll appear in the final race tonight to club together to perhaps even win here tonight at Spa-Francorchamps as they now make the climb through towards the Kemmel Straight, heading up through towards Lake Com. It is still leading this train, Thibaut Casamon, with Yuri Kasdorp, who has not left his rear wing whatsoever. That rear spoiler has seen a full-on mouse red livery right behind it here, closely followed as well by Jamie Fluke and Kaiki Oliveira, who are currently in tandem, making their way through the next section, now down in towards Ravage, also known as the Brushell's Corner, but nose to tail, the gap thinner than a fly's eyelash. Incredible battle here to gain entry into tonight's final race.
Well, everybody just calm down for a moment, because it seems that we'll just be a little bit calmer on lap 5 before things kick off for the final 2 laps. What a race we are seeing so far. The top 4 should be through, and they may not even fight between themselves. Siggy's giving Sebastian Job something to think about for the moment, but not really a battle going on there. It's for 5th place where we are focusing ourselves for the moment, because Thibaut Casamon and Yuri Kasdorp have put on one of the shows of the season here at Spa. A wonderful battle between the two. Kaiki Oliveira couldn't quite get involved to get into the top 6, but it's not over. Still 2 laps to go, and there's still time for those outside of the current top 6 to make it in.
He hasn't featured in a semi-final since all the way back at Hockenheimring in round 3, and Thibaut Casamon knows what this could mean for his own personal journey. Remember all the way back at Hockenheim, victory in that quarter-final, but it wasn't to be in the semi-final. He did not make it to the final, and he himself chasing his own goals to elevate his own position here in ESL R1. We'll have to wait and see whether he can bring it home, because he has got a flood of cars right in behind looking for a piece of the action, including Yuri Kasdorp, who will be going through at this point as well. But Kaiki Oliveira is going to give it certainly give it everything to see whether he can usher his Furia BMW into the mix for a final appearance later on tonight as they make their way now out of the source section. We're now here riding on board here with Kaiki Oliveira as now he's eyes and spies Sergio Rouge and Radion in the distance. He's going to try and tune it up, hit every apex, try and gain time, follow in the footsteps of Yuri Kasdorp just ahead. There's a chance here that Furia could book their ticket, stamp their place into the final race later on. Jamie Fluke also in the mix midst of all this, knows exactly what it takes to garner a race win in ESL R1 action. As now once again they crawl through Lassie still, but it's still Yuri Kasdorp who leads this train through. Forget all the others up at the front end. This is the battle we want to see.
It is, and so far it's single file through Lecom once again. So nothing doing on this lap. It's the penultimate lap now, of course, and time is running out. Yuri Kasdorp just went a little bit wide there through Rivard, and Yuri Kasdorp closed in quite dramatically. Now, there was no move made, and I wonder whether Kasdorp is just going to back off now and consolidate this 6th position to the end. But even so, there was a slight door opening there from Yuri Kasdorp. He's put a bit of a gap back in once again, and he's got nearly half a second over Kasdorp now, but that was a brief half chance for the Mouse driver to get through. Nothing doing though, and they'll stay single file around the second part of the second sector and head towards that last lap of this semi-final.
Yeah, just headed out now, the Lafania chicane. They've got Campus and Stavolo as well coming up next. Still is Kasdorp taking them through this next train. They're now coming out to Stavolo now. And then very shortly we'll round Corbeil-Port Frere. They are slowly starting to inch closer. We saw Yuri Toman in the distance. You can just see him making his way through Blanchimont. He's right on the tail of Johan Haaf, as well as we now see Yuri Kasdorp right on the bubble of being eliminated or moving through towards a final appearance. Of course, the sole Mouse driver in this affair, and now looking to drag it right into final contention. Could he do it? There could be a huge chance here for Kasdorp to impress, who in his own right, we spoke about his own battles, of course, with maximising his performance here in ESL R1 competition. We know how much of a snake pit it truly is when it comes down to drivers battling each other out on track, and getting those final appearances are so sought after. Those points are also so sought after, and Kasdorp now right on the cusp of getting through to a final here tonight. Of course, hasn't managed to necessarily gain that sort of acclaim in a long time. In fact, this could be his first final appearance this season. I think it actually is as well, as he now makes his way up the hill, still defending against Kaiki Oliveira and trying to close down on Yuri Kasdorp. Look at Oliveira though, having a look around the outside. Kasdorp goes defensive in towards Lecom, once again defending as they go nose to tail. How did they not make contact? Oliveira with the momentum, the straight line speed that could have taken that P6 away, but he'll have another go, heading down towards Rivage. Will he open the door? Will he send it? The Furia car says no. He's going to be patient. He'll have maybe 1 or 2 chances remaining here on the final lap.
Well, I think there was contact, to be honest with you, on the way in towards Lecom there, but it was ever so slight. Kasdorp felt the need to slightly defend, to move it over to the right there and then pull back to the racing line. Oliveira got into the back of him and in the end couldn't get through. I think his run through the middle sector here hasn't been good enough, and so Kasdorp and Kasdorp may well survive. But what a race we've seen here. Oliveira, Fluke, Oscar and Backham are going to be the ones to miss out here. I think the gap at about 3 tenths between 6th and 7th now. Yuri Kasdorp should be on his way to a final, and this would be a big step forward for him in the championship as he tries to get into that top 24 for the major at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. But closing out this final lap, of course, we have seen magic today here at Spa, and certainly tonight we'll witness yet more magic to come as we now see them make their way through the final sector for the last time. This battle has been brewing to get qualification in towards the final race tonight. Sebastian Job, though, is going to be the man to bring it home. He, of course, up at the front end, nailing down the fastest lap. It's Sebastian Job. He's going to take victory here tonight at Spa-Francorchamps in semi-final 2. Kevin Siggy comes home in second. Johan Haaf in third place, Yuri Toman in fourth, Yuri Kasdorp, what a defensive effort, he comes home in fifth, but no one could stop the great Sebastian Job, championship leader, representing G2 Esports. Yet another victory going to this young man. He is a sensation and showing it again here in ESL competition. Can he go ahead and do it again? Can he claim another round win tonight at Spa?
You wouldn't put it past him at all, would you? You really wouldn't. It's a very, very big possibility indeed. Sebastian Job is in the form of his life at the moment, and that lap he put in qualifying was more than enough to put himself forward as a potential race winner. He's more than taken that away with absolute ease. Don't say with ease, really, but he certainly did. And in the end, it was him who beat out the rest of the 11 who fought very hard over the course of the 7 laps around here.
Yeah, it certainly was a very special venture. Certainly all the drivers getting in the mix. It was very nip and tuck heading through this segment. We will, of course, be bringing in Lewis to take a look at the highlights as well later on. But take a look at these serious moments here. Wheel-to-wheel action. Keke Oliveira on a great display yet again, and this was a major moment as well. The RAG car colliding with the Porsche Commander, and it ended up taking out the other Porsche Commander as well. We'll obviously be chatting to Adrian later on. You could firmly imagine, just to see whether we could deduce as to what went wrong. But yes, certainly that will be looked at. Essentially that being the catalyst as well for the big battle that we saw earlier on, Ewan, obviously over that P5 and 6th place.
Yeah, it was really, and eventually it was, of course, P5 as Jeffrey Rietveld came into the pit lane and allowed this battle to happen. But this is the highlight for me. Thibaut Kasdorp versus Yuri Kasdorp. It goes on for half a lap. You think it's going to end, but no. Kasdorp was very close to ushering Kasdorp entirely off the road there, but the two of them have respect for each other. This is where I thought it was done. Kasdorp goes right round the outside of Kasdorp through Pouhon. It's a wonderful section between the two of them. And then Keke Oliveira tries to get involved as well. Absolutely unbelievable. They continue on, and in the end I think it's quite a weak move round the outside from Stavilo that eventually allows Kasdorp on the plate. I think Kasdorp could have been a bit more aggressive here, to be honest, but you've got to give Kasdorp the credit as well. What an unbelievable fight it was between them, and just a thoroughly enjoyable race overall. Great stuff between everyone.
Yeah, it certainly was a big fight. The Furia car also getting in the mix. Keke Oliveira giving a great performance, but Sebastian Job proving again why his credentials are certainly ranked high amongst the rest. A fantastic result, a fantastic victory, and I believe we have Lewis McGlade. I think we're going to be waiting to see whether he's going to bring us an interview, but do stay tuned, folks. We will be bringing that to you very soon. Out of everyone, though, is this a great Sebastian Job performance, or can we take stock out of the likes of Thibaut Kasdorp and also, should we say, the great defensive efforts as well from the man Yuri Kasdorp in P6? Because absolutely, it was a tremendous scuffle. I think it said a lot about Thibaut Kasdorp as a driver here at this point, Ewan.
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's come on and he's come into the series in place of Risto Caput, who was doing a lot of the spring season for RHG Esports, and I think RHG are better for it. Of course, we love Risto, but I think Thibaut Kasdorp has just improved that team just that little bit more and got a few more into those finals and so on. So, yeah, it's certainly an improvement, and it says a lot about him, that race. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And there's obviously going to be some heartache as well for the likes of the Porsche Commander team. I mean, Matt Backham, it wasn't necessarily the welcome return. And then on top of that, to have Mitchell deJong, who was in a position to move up, should we say, into the final race tonight. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. And the collision at La Source proving to be the catalyst in those two essentially being dumped out of the competition. It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde performance for Porsche Commander in Semi-Final 1 and Semi-Final 2.
I can't say it's totally unexpected. I think the Semi-Final 1 lineup with Dane Warren and Josh Rogers is a bit stronger than Mitchell deJong and Matt Backham, unfortunately. But the way that they, obviously eliminated from Semi-Final 2, I think is really disappointing for them. And the fact that, for deJong especially, it wasn't his fault at all. Backham unfortunately got caught up behind it as well at La Source. It was really unfortunate, and I'd be very surprised not to see a penalty for the RHG Audi that did make the contact in the end as it was trying to make a move. We will have a look at the results and see where everyone's ended up in a short while. But yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if it stands the way that it is, to be honest, for RHG, because they will have got away with one, put it that way, if there is no penalty.
Yeah, well, that's an 8th win for Sebastian Job. Of course, these results being provisional as well, folks. Kevin Siggy coming home in 2nd. Johan Harth, a great result for the ART Mercedes, coming home in 3rd. Both RAG cars, Yuri Terman and Thibaut Kasdorp, currently holding on to 4th and 5th and making their way through as it stands, with Yuri Kasdorp, a first final appearance, of course, this season, which is absolutely tremendous for him. Keke Oliveira, unfortunately, being dumped out despite his great efforts towards the end. It certainly was a great challenge. Jamie Fluke, we saw a shake of the head. He was very despondent, I think, off the back of that race, as well as the likes of Tommy Usgard, Matt Backham and Mitchell deJong, who I think are going to be feeling a little sore after their ventures. And Jeffrey Rietveld, who had to take that drive-through penalty, which was certainly a factor into Team Redline. They went from, should we say, qualifying 2 cars, Ewan, into only just the one. Kevin Siggy.
Yeah, that was the pretty much sole reason I would agree that Jeffrey didn't make his way through, unfortunately, there. Otherwise, I don't think he would have come under any pressure at all in terms of that top 6 position. So, disappointment for Team Redline in that respect, but they have got Kevin Siggy through. He did win his knockout round as well, did Kevin Siggy. Finished second in that semi-final. He's a bit of a dark horse for me. I wasn't outlining him at the start of the week, to be honest, as a round winner, but you never know. It could be his first round win for round 6 here this evening. If he takes home the final, of course, he certainly has the pace based on that previous race and, of course, his knockout win yesterday as well.
Yeah, I think if anything that we learned through that, Ewan, about Sebastian Job, I think was that qualifying performance. I mean, what a lap that was. It definitely was the main factor, I think, into him getting through. And it's not just what he does in the sim as well here in terms of his own competition sense, but he's also part of the Red Bull family in a sense that he helps out in the sim over there as well. So they take a lot of stock and a lot of value out of Sebastian Job as a driver. And I think tonight we have seen why that is the case. He certainly seems to be a different breed amongst the best drivers in the world. And certainly we do have the best drivers in the world here at ESL R1. And with Sebastian Job's talent and his ability to certainly cultivate results, it's not just about his sheer pace and race form in the moment. It's about what he does over the course of a whole championship, because you can't be the best driver in the world without consistency, and that's exactly what he is. Remember, back in round 2, finalist winner, he took the 2 final victories in rounds 1 and 2, and has now since gone on to do tremendous things, and is now, well, he certainly looks to be, to me, the form favourite to launch together yet another round victory. Can you only see it going his way tonight at Spa?
I can't only see it going his way, but I think he's going to be up there, certainly. I think others who will be challenging in the likes of Josh Rogers and Marcel Chinchik from the first semi-final, but also Kevin Siggy kept him quite honest throughout that race. I'm not sure how much Job just let off the gas, as to say, in that race. However, Siggy kept him honest throughout that, and you've got to take your hat off for that one. So I think he'll be up there as well. But between those 4, really, I would say this final win. But anyone can win; they really can. In terms of getting into the final, it's difficult enough, and so anyone who's made it to this point can certainly take home the win. But Sebastian Job is just changing the parameters of what we believe is possible around here at Spa in the GT3s. That lap in qualifying was unbelievable. If he can do that again, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because I didn't think he was going to do it in that first semi-final, and he's proved us wrong again. So who knows what lap time he'll produce in a moment.
Well, let's get his thoughts then. Let's move across, because we've got an interview with him and Lewis McGlade.
I've stolen Sebastian Job away. Yes, indeed. What a race victory. We'll roll things back, though, and talk about that quali lap, because you now have the fastest lap around Spa and the second fastest lap that's ever been set around Spa. 2 incredible lap times, but that one, was it 1:33? Where did that come from, mate?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure myself. That was, being completely honest, that was my best lap of the entire day, and I've done quite a bit of warm-up today. I was struggling a bit, and then out of nowhere, boom, that's extremely close to my all-time PB that we've had on any BOP any time we've raced here. So it was so for me to aim for that, to beat that in the final, is going to be extremely hard. Very unlikely, but I'm going to do my best.
Now you got 8. That's your 8th win this season. Of course, you're moving up there. I think if you win the next one, you'll be joint second on the all-time winners list with Marcel Chinchik. So there are some things to fight for. That's not even just the big prize of taking a victory. But the last couple of finals haven't exactly gone your way. Let's put it that way. Obviously, since those first 2. What have you changed your approach at all to these final races, or how are you just going to approach this one?
No, I think, to be honest, you can't have every round go your way. The first 2 rounds were the perfect start, and I said at the time, I was like, this is not going to keep happening. You can't win every round. So I knew that times were going to get a bit trickier. I think the last round, it was just very messy in the mid-pack, so that kind of pushed me back. And then in previous rounds, the 2 before, it was just not quite getting the quali lap right. So you can't win every round. I'm still doing the same as I did before, and if I nail the Q lap, that's what matters. So hopefully I can just repeat what I did just now.
Now, we saw yesterday quite a battle between yourself and Kevin Siggy. Obviously did the rounds on social media as well, because it was a pretty impressive battle. Do you race differently on knockout day than how you do when it comes to the semi-finals and the finals? Do you approach this with a slightly different mentality?
I think a little bit, yeah. Just you bring back the aggression just a tiny bit, especially for the final. You would turn it up a bit because you can't.
Well, we've lost him. Goodbye. It was nice. I was going to say good luck and everything like that, but we'll never know the answer, George. But either way, Sebastian Job will get himself ready for the final. Again, what fantastic mentality, and again, yet another brilliant win. But it's that lap that just kind of blows everyone away. It's arguably the best lap we've ever seen in ESL R1, potentially the second best, depends on where you rank Josh Rogers' lap back in Gamers 8 on the Drivers' Championship Friday.
Yeah, getting those two together. I tell you what, you leapfrogged out of that interview almost as quick as his qualifying lap earlier on tonight. Absolutely sensational. But yet again, back again at the top end, and no one can really understand how great of a driver Sebastian Job is. But now we've got two giants colliding here with the likes of Josh Rogers and Sebastian Job. And we do actually have a pre-recorded interview here with our man, Joshua Rogers. Let's see what his thoughts were.
Yeah, the season so far for me is it's been up and down. Obviously, we've had some good results, some good wins and good points. We haven't won a final yet though, so that's for sure still on the bucket list to achieve and to tick off. Yeah, like I say, it's been up and down, but or at least I feel like I've managed to find some consistency in myself in the last couple of rounds, which is nice. It's positive. So yeah, try and keep carrying that through, hopefully into the major and your coping. I think we're pretty much locked in for that one. So yeah, it'll be fun at the end of the year. We're just trying to look to set ourselves up, I guess, as best as we can for that event. And yeah, keep building on the positive energy and the progress that we've made so far.
Well, he speaks like a true professional, does he not? But tell you what, folks, we can take a look at an embedded viewer inside the Porsche camp. We can actually go there live and take a look. We will, of course, have Mitchell deJong with us as well, talking to us. But a sensational view, certainly from the likes of Joshua Rogers, a true professional, an artist. You say that he's well media trained, Lewis, and I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, no, I've said this before, and I'll say it even publicly on this broadcast, because why not? Sometimes you get an interview with Josh, and you're like, oh, he comes across as a little bit flat. And it's just because he's so well measured. He knows what to say. He knows how to not overstep an interview. Even when he has had a race that has gone so against him that he's been involved in, loads of drama, or, he's won a championship, whatever, who knows? He's always just dead calm. He says what he wants to say, never says anything too far, and just like lets it go. I'm like, oh, you can never get a bit of like, you can't get him to bite on anything too major and too juicy. It's very disappointing.
No, cool as a cucumber. Now let's move across and go have a chat with Mitchell deJong, who's at the Porsche Coanda team camp. Mitchell, can you hear us, sir?
I can. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for joining us, Mitchell. Off the back, I said it earlier in conversation with you, and it's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, I suppose, scenario for you guys. You had such a great opening race in semi-final action. Race 2 kind of went the opposite. Of course, you could argue there was some bad luck involved in that too, because there was quite a few tie-ups heading through La Source. Can you give us the overall feeling in the camp right now?
Yeah, it's a bit up and down for sure. I think things were headed in the right way, especially in that second race. It was a big morale boost seeing both Josh and Dane get through, have some pretty good laps as well. And it was looking good, I think, on our side as well. Yeah, I think we were just kind of biding our time, and unfortunately, just an incident happened, and it took me out of it. So, and it also unfortunately collected Mac as well. So, yeah, not ideal for sure. I think we could have been on for a good one, but that's the way it goes.
You still sound concerningly positive, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, right? Because, a lot of things are out of my hands, and I can only be, positive about the performance I had in it. I felt like my Q lap was pretty okay. It's really been about building confidence again for me. So I was reasonably happy with that lap. Would have been a good spot to get me into the final, which I've been really looking forward to this season. And race performance seemed good. I was really taking care of the tires, all that. So I think on my side, I couldn't have done too much more. It's just an unfortunate situation. Unfortunately, also, it's not the best situation for me in points, being so close to the cutoff. So not ideal. I was really looking forward to hopefully scoring some good points, but we'll have to go on to next week, and hopefully we can do a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the team's championships, you speak about improvements and finding your way through. I mean, obviously, you guys are Gamers 8 champions as a team in your own right. Currently sitting second in the standings, as you can see on the team's leaderboard. How do you assess your chances here, Mitchell?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, unfortunately, Mac and I can't contribute too much now for this one, but yeah, hopefully Dane and Josh can bring home some good points, and then we move into the final 2 rounds where, yeah, I think we just need to keep giving it our all. Hopefully, all 4 of us can make a final and have some good results. I mean, it's for sure wishful thinking because the amount of competition in the series is unbelievable. So to get in a scenario like that, might be able to close the gap to RAG a bit. So that's what we're aiming for, always for the top. And yeah, we'll see what the championship brings.
Well, very quickly, I'm going to ask you this. Who's taking victory in the final?
Got to go with my man, Josh Rogers. And a close second with Dane Warren.
Oh, so it's going to be the perfect 1-2 for Porsche Commander. We look forward to seeing that. But
Yep.
Hey, Mitchell, thank you for being a superstar as always, my friend. Always great having you in the interview rooms.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Obviously, true professional, Mitchell deJong, and really does fancy the chances of his Porsche Commander teammates. Has every right to as well, because Joshua Rogers, phenomenal in semi-final 1.
Yeah, and I've already called dibs on him, just saying. Just to clarify that, I've already called dibs. I think Josh Rogers is also going to win. Me and Mitch will see. Like, I've got to say, though, you know, I said about how positive he seems. Again, that's the whole thing of when you get drivers like like Mitchell, where they understand the front and the back of these top levels of racing, that you can't win everything, and sometimes it doesn't go your way, and that's okay. Remain positive. It's still there's still 6 more races for him to potentially do this season, and there is still that potential chance to move through into Sweden, and it's now about supporting the team and about seeing if Josh can come out victorious in this one. Or Dane.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's very true. It could be either one of the two. We're going to go from one camp to another and head across to Apex Racing Team Mercedes, who have got 3 team members standing by. Elvis Rankin, I could see in the middle there as well. Give us a wave, chaps.
Hello there. Hello.
How are we all doing? What's the mood like in the camp?
It's a mixed bag, I would say, to be fair. I think with Kev's little incident, and then Jamie feels a bit hard done by after that second semi-final. But yeah, I think we're pretty good. But we're happy for Johan to be in the final. Obviously, he's getting ready, which is why he's run off camera. He was waiting to have a little chat with you guys, but yeah, he's getting himself ready. But yeah, we'd like more into the final. But yeah, we're pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure. It was a strong day yesterday, getting all 4 drivers through. Elvis is pumped though.
Man, I'm just happy for my 4 points, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm having fun. I made day 2. That's all. I'm happy about that. So.
I've got a big question though, which is I was going to ask something about Elvis, but no, actually I want to know how's my application doing to the Apex? No, it's fine. How has Elvis Rankin been?
I don't know if I've seen the times yet, Lewis. This is the trouble. Like if you put the effort in,
I was going to Photoshop
then, maybe you'll get a T-shirt, but no effort, no T-shirt.
I didn't see any laps long.
It was worth
I will say.
What about Elvis Rankin progressing this season? Let's go a little bit into that side of things. Obviously, you've been moving forward a lot through this season. Now getting some consistent top 6s. There was almost a final up for grabs there.
Yeah, I mean the past 2 weeks and even 3 have been pretty solid with the 7th and making it to day 2 at Monza and here. So I definitely for sure think, I mean, give and take, being a few months behind on the game, it's a bit tough, but starting to get some steam now, starting to pick up some results, so starting to get there slowly but surely, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to put my Apex Racing team jersey just under the table a minute. Obviously, I wouldn't want to show it off in front of Lewis McGlade, but I mean, obviously, Elvis, just want to say, obviously, you've witnessed your teammates obviously rising up the ranks. Obviously, you came into the team, I think, relatively later than perhaps many others in terms of ESL R1 competition. How's the adaptation been to a competition of this magnitude? Because it's certainly proven to be, with its huge prize pools, the level of the drivers we've here that obviously you've competed in multiple different competitions in the past. What's the adaptation been like from your standpoint in moving into a competition like this?
It's definitely been a lot different for me. This is kind of the first kind of championship I say is a top tier big championship, with guys like Sebi or Rogers or Shinchicks, those kind of guys. And it's definitely been a big adaptation for me because I'm still oh my God, it's Josh Rogers, like. But no, for sure, it's just trying to keep my head down, put in the hours for sure, and just try and show up best prepared as I can, and just, I know I have potential, I have the pace, I just do what I can, just do the best, and yeah.
Before we let you focus, by the way, and let Johan go on with it, I do want to ask more of a question. This one going a bit more over towards Alex, over your side of the woods. Obviously, the Apex Racing team are focused on racing in a lot of competitions at the moment. We see you over in British Formula 4 Esports, obviously in the Turn Delara, I think that was on the other day. You're in an awful lot. How hard is it to kind of get the drivers to just focus on what they're doing here on what is a 2-day competition? Unlike most things where it's just you do 2 hours of racing and then you're done. This, you go racing on the Thursday, you might go racing on the Friday, you might not. Like, how hard is that?
It's not been too bad. I mean, this year the team has grown quite a bit, which has kind of helped. We've got enough strength in depth now that drivers can focus on particular series, so that we don't have to sort of pull them from this and that. Obviously, last year, we had maybe 6 to 8 guys that were doing everything for us. It was an extremely successful year, but it was really challenging. I think Jamie had 1 week where he did 5 events in 1 week. It was just crazy. But yeah, this time around, he's able to focus on R1, and we've got guys focusing on our other sort of campaigns. Yeah, it should be fine. We're actually looking forward to next year, where there's a few other series that we've been asked to compete in that we've never actually participated in before. That we feel like we've grown enough now that we can have a little dip on those as well.
Yeah, I just want to know now, this is a very key question, first of all. I mean, that drink that you're drinking now, I can see, is that saying BAM? I hope that's not the mentality we're going to be taking to the race. Yeah. Have you booked your tickets yet?
That's my,
Have you booked your tickets for the major yet, Elvis? What's your confidence levels heading through towards Sweden?
Well, I mean, it's looking, I mean, it still is obviously possible, like, obviously just need to make 2 finals or get some big points, but it's going to take some big weeks for sure. So we're holding off a little bit right now, but we're going to put the best we can at it and see what happens.
Now, I know we've already kind of like touched it a little bit, but I kind of want to know what's the what are our thoughts? Is Johan Half going to win? Yay or nay?
I'll pass this to you first, because I'm going out the box here.
I mean, yesterday, didn't he?
I was about to say, I think he's got a tough job. Like, let's not take anything away from all the drivers in that final. But if he nails his qualifying and gets in that position, we've seen that actually he can have a run on the Porsches. So I feel like that's the car that he's going to have to beat. So if quality goes well, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we wish you all the very best, guys. Enjoy the BAM. I think Elvis, you got a few words for us, have you, before you go?
No, I do. I'm just going to say that my prediction win is Josh Rogers. I'm making that bold prediction. The Porsche, mate, I'm predicting it. This is his week.
That's the last we'll see of Elvis Rankin in this championship. Wowee. What a scoop from Elvis Rankin, everybody. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. Take care, and we wish you the best of luck in the final race.
Yeah, see you guys.
Cheers.
Take care. Right.
Goodbye to that career.
Now, folks, oh, God, that's absolutely incredible, isn't it? Josh Rogers just took a massive leap of confidence after that. Well, there we have it. Elvis Rankin has just confirmed he's siding with Josh Rogers. Let's take a look at some head-to-heads. First of all, speaking of Josh Rogers, we'll look at him first, because we're going to be taking a look at stats between himself and Gustavo Ariel there. Of course, the Furia driver there on the right-hand side. Of course, I think that should be Sebastian Job. Of course, total points, as we can currently see, siding with Sebastian Job at 333. And that's the points coming into that one for Sebastian Job. But Josh Rogers is the one that we need to take a look at and obviously see where he sort of makes up here at this point. What's your thoughts there, Lewis?
Just to clarify, that's my bad. I put 91 onto the sheet, not 92. So that's on me. I'll cop up to that one. No, my bad. Yeah, it was supposed to be Sebastian Job and Josh Rogers. Apologies. Obviously, 2 of the top drivers in this. They've got fantastic stats.
Any complaints, Lewis McGlade's Twitter @ is actually below his camera. But yeah, we can see head-to-head overalls here between Josh Rogers and Sebastian Job. 333 going to Sebastian Job, total points, with 274 going to the wonder from down under, Joshua Rogers. We've got to take a look at the top sixes. Look at this. Josh Rogers, remember, overall has been in this competition more than Sebastian Job. 37 is outweighing 21. But take a look at the podiums, 28 against 16. So it is truly a battle of the Titans. If you have a look at the average points per round, it's siding with Sebastian Job. And bear in mind, like I said, he's appeared more. I'm saying this, but Joshua Rogers appeared more in ESL R1 competition, hence why perhaps those top six and the podiums are outweighing that of Sebastian Job. We've got another top six, another head-to-head I should say. That, of course, being Yuri Kasdorp and also Thomas Tattler. So we'll take a look at those as well. Obviously, two names that have now found their way in towards the final round. Yuri Kasdorp for the first time this fall season, and Thomas Tattler for Heroic. This is how the points step up, and there you can see the difference. Thomas Tattler 113 against the 51 for Yuri Kasdorp, and look at the top sixes as well. Very tight podiums though, more siding Tattler's way.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked these two is they're two drivers that are kind of like, again, piecing themselves together. Yeah, represent the team, lone representatives now of Mouse and of Heroic. Obviously, big esports organisations, etc. Yeah, they're now carrying the rate. Thomas Tattler inside the top 24, Yuri Kasdorp outside of it, but both having definite pace to get inside it. And again, it's days like this that will make Tattler's position more comfortable. It could completely change Kasdorp's outset, of course, on how we could piece things together. Moving forward into Sweden if we see him get the way. But yeah, maybe, to be fair, Thomas Tattler, is he an outside chance of this victory? Obviously, everyone's looking at Josh Rogers, everyone's looking at Sebastian Job. Is Thomas Tattler, I mean, he's had a pole position and he looked like he might have been able to take a win. He did kind of take a win back on yesterday, obviously before having it removed, courtesy of a penalty. Is he an outside chance for it, do you reckon?
Well, Nikodev Wisniewski has already won a round, but let's take a look anyway, because we've got a lineup that we can take you through as well with all the drivers that are competing in the final here tonight. Let's take a look. Sebastian Job, of course, being up there. Can he do the unthinkable yet again? Can he take another final round victory here at Spa-Francorchamps in round 6? Of course, we've got 3 more rounds to come, or should I say 2 more after this one, this being the 3rd last round. We've got Yuri Tobin in 2nd, Josh Rogers. 2 RAG cars, though, making up this field with Marcel Chinchik coming up with his compadre and partner in crime. Of course, we've seen them work so well together in the past. Dane Warren, who has been in great form, has now made it to the final again as well. Kevin Siggy, Mustachio, is back and is the sole red line contender in tonight's action. And taking a further look down as well, Mercedes represented with Bono House is going to be looking for a big race here tonight. Lassie Sorensen, one to watch. And Yuri Kasdorp, first appearance as well in his mouse car this season, this fall season, in the final as well. So lots of stories, lots of narrative to take from that. And obviously we can look forward to yet another resounding race. Now, I tell you what, it wouldn't be an overview of a lineup without some predictions being thrown in as well. I'm going to go for Sebastian Job. Lewis McGlade, okay, where's yours? I think you already said Joshua Rogers, did you not?
Yeah, no, I'm fully committing to it. I am absolutely fully committing to Joshua Rogers, so that's fine. I stick to it, and I stand by it. I will not change. Although Sebastian Job's lap time is terrifying, I don't think he's going to be able to do it back to back. I think we might see no, actually, do you know what? I don't think we're seeing a 0.1 in this session. I think we're seeing a low 2 get pole position.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But one person we need to bring in as well is one Ewan O'Leary as well. Let's bring him in. Ewan, give us your thoughts. What's your prediction?
Yeah, well, 2 things before that. One, I said earlier that there wasn't going to be a 1 today and a better lap time than previously. We've seen it at Spa, and look at what's happened. So disappointed about that. And second of all, I'll remind you, Lewis, that on your stream yesterday, I came in and said that Josh Rogers was going to win. I said that 24 hours ago. So speaking about first dibs on Josh Rogers, I'd like to say that I predicted that ages ago. But anyway, just
he's copying you, Ewan.
That in there before I go any further. Since I'm left with everybody else, I'm going to go for what I'd describe maybe a bit more of a dark horse in this final of Kevin Siggy, who I didn't even think would make it to the final, to be honest with you, but he really impressed me in semi-final number 2. He kept Sebastian Job very honest throughout that race. He kept within a second of him, basically, towards the end there, and you never know, Kevin Siggy might be able to take the round win today.
You never know. Mustachio could strike yet again. But folks, for the final time here in round 6, here in the fall season, I'm going to send it across to Lewis McGlade and Ewan O'Leary. Take it away, chaps.
Yes, certainly. So, yeah, it's so much better without him, isn't it? Oh, goodness me. No, obviously, we focus on a race which I think will be quite good. You know, obviously we've had. Let's speak a little bit of the quality of the previous two. It's been kind of elbows out and maybe a little bit too far in that department. Yeah, there's been a lot of silly mistakes and stuff. Do you think some of that's going to get reduced for this final race? Maybe we're going to have an absolute classic. We've had a couple of insane finals this season.
We have, notably round one, I think, which is the pick of the bunch, quite possibly, of this season, back at Monza, of course. But yeah, we have seen a lot of elbows out here today. I think lap one of race one was certainly over the line, and that move into La Source as well from one of the RHGs to send deJong out of the semi-final. Basically, it was probably over the line as well, to be honest with you. But other than that, it has been great racing, really. It's been probably enjoyable. And now I wonder what's going to happen in terms of these battles for the lead, because so far we haven't seen a battle for the lead so much in this in these semi-finals. To us, we saw one yesterday, of course, that you were speaking about earlier in knockout 3. But tonight, not so much for the lead. Maybe today, or sorry, in the finals, will be the chance for that, maybe.
Well, do you remember as well, before we get into the qualifying and get into this final race, exclamation mark survey. You can let us know exactly what you think of the season, exactly where you think, again, as I say, as always, where you think we're going, where you think we could be doing better. Maybe it is replacing me with Ewan constantly. Who knows? Whatever your opinion is, you can drop it in the survey. Again, maybe we need some format changes. Maybe we need to adjust some bits behind the scenes. Maybe you want some graphics that we don't frequently show. Whatever. Exclamation mark survey, get onto that, and you're also going to put yourself into a chance of winning 5 tickets for the weekend at DreamHack at Jönköping, of course, in a few weeks' time. We're not too long before we make our way there. We've got to decide our grid to get out there. All 24 drivers need to be set and sorted. It kind of feels weird. It's just not very long until we'll be freezing ourselves solid in November in Sweden, which is going to be quite cold, but a lot of fun.
Very chilly is what it's going to be, but there you are. So so enjoy that. But yeah, we are, by the way, tonight confirming a few people mathematically for the major. Actually, I know that basically that people like Sebastian Job and Yuri Kasdorp and Josh Rogers are basically confirmed already anyway. But just to make it mathematically absolutely sure, they're on their way to doing that tonight. Over the course of the next couple of rounds, I'd imagine we'll just have a little bit more of a look and a focus on that bubble between the top 24 or not, because that's where the important battles are really over the course of today. If for example, you've got yourself into the final today, like Lassie Sorensen, to pick an example, then you really are on your way to possibly getting into that top 24. And he'll, of course, be out here in this final, looking to get up the order the best he possibly can and seeing how many points he can gain from this golden opportunity he's got, really, to get himself into that top 24 on the major at the end of the year.
Well, we ride on board then with Dane Warren. First lap time in this session. First lap time in the final as we get ready to see who's going to be starting this one from pole position. Again, the fastest lap that we have seen all throughout this competition. To be fair, the fastest lap time we've ever seen around the Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps was set earlier on today with that .133 in the hands of Sebastian Job. The first secondary set in doing so was a .753. So watch out for the first sector time coming here from Dane Warren. Is a 6.96. So it is faster than that, but we know the Porsche is absolutely rapid in the first sector, Ewan.
It is very quick indeed. Still yet to take a round win, of course, in the full season. It's the Porsche. It's been about Audi, BMW and Mercedes so far, but Dane Warren is going to be looking to rectify that for Porsche as he makes his way through No Name now, just flowing the car beautifully through that section of the course and not even getting too wide out into the gravel either. Now in towards Pouhon, where we've seen such fantastic racing so far. He was down here, of course, on the exit of this corner where he made a move in the race previously as well for third. What a new section of the racetrack this really is for side-by-side battling, which we've uncovered today.
Certainly so. We've seen great moves, including in the hand of this driver, Dane Warren, when he was making his way past Thomas Tatler a bit earlier on in the day. I'm sure he might have to make some moves very similar to that if he wants to take victory. And again, he's looking for his first ever final victory. He's not ever taken one. Joshua Rogers has. He's taken 2. But he's still looking for his first in the full season. Like you say, no Porsches come out on top in this one just yet. A 59.740 in that second sector. It's about a tenth and a half off of what we saw from Sebastian Job, which is not unexpected from Dane Warren. I think this lap time's tracking to be about a mid-2, so we'll see him come through the... Oh, he's got a slowdown! Never mind, it's not going to be a mid-2 minute 14.2 slowdown in the final corner, and Dane Warren, bye-bye to the back of the grid, I'm afraid.
You don't get many slowdowns around Spa either, so that is going to be back at the grid almost certainly for Dane Warren. Yuri Toman is going to set a new best time of the session for absolutely sure in a couple of moments' time. It was a 38.7 in the first sector, very solid. 59.7 is pretty good, and so he's going to be around the 14.3, 14.2 sort of region. It's certainly going to be quicker than Dane Warren. He's got his head in his hands. Yuri Toman makes his way over the line. It's only a 14.3 disappointment across his face for that one.
Yeah, it is certainly not ideal. A bit of a sad scene to see. But as we head into the final moments of this session, who is going to be where? Anyone going to move their way around in the order once more? As we'll see into that final complex, of course, Kevin Siggy pushing a 58.7, a 59.6, pretty decent. This could be a 0.2 again. It might be a higher one across the line. It's not a higher one. It's a low one. It's a 0.217. That could be good enough for pole.
It could. It just depends on what the standard of the others are, because Marcel Chintig is here. Josh Rogers will be up there as well, and so will Sebastian Job in terms of those trying to make it into the pole position here. That's going to be difficult to beat, though, from Kevin Siggy. Now the Spring Major champion Marcel Chintig makes his way into the final corners. It's not quite been a standout season from him so far, but he ended off the spring season a little bit stronger than he started last time, so who knows over the next few weeks. It's only a 14.3 from him this time. He'll go second for now.
Yeah, let's see then. Kiki Oliveira, the next one to go through, one that I predicted to get inside the top 6 and move through to the final. Ewan O'Leary did not. Just want to throw that one out there. I absolutely smashed you in the semi-final 2 predictions that we've had behind the scenes. I think you only got like 2 right, mate. No, 3 right. You got 3 right, and they're the ones that we both picked. So I'll let you off. I got 2 others. It's fine. I got 5. Anyway, we'll focus on this lap time from Kiki Oliveira whilst I just prove Ewan O'Leary wrong. Across the line, Kiki Oliveira is going to go. It's a 0.3. It wasn't looking super strong, and unfortunately for him, it's looking like it's going to be up there in the sort of top 5 or so. Not ideal.
It was looking great for me until Thibaut Cazeneuve got a penalty, by the way. We'll move past that. Johan Harp makes his way towards the final couple of corners now as well. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a couple of temps away here. It's going to be a 14.3 at best for Johan, and that's not really where you need to be. Over the line, 14.4, not where he wanted to be at all. The sole representative from ART only 5th.
Well, here we go then. Big lap times coming in over the final few in this session. We've got Joshua Rogers, you've got Sebastian Job, you've got Thomas Tatler as well. 3 drivers we're really focused on as to see where they're going to go in this session. First sector there from Joshua Rogers, very fast indeed, although slightly slower than his teammate Dane Warren. No slowdown in the final sector though. Second sector is about 10.5 off where we need to see. I think this is going to be good enough for about 2nd place as Rogers will cross the line. It's exactly where he goes. And let's see what Lassie Sorensen can do.
Yeah, 1 of 2 Furia drivers into the final once again. Kiki Oliveira almost having another stealthy race, and we never speak about him pretty much, but he's made it into another final. Lassie Sorensen as well on his quest to become a driver at the major in Sweden in a few weeks' time. He makes his way out of the final corner now. Don't think this is going to be anything for the front 2 rows to worry about, and it's only 7th for Lassie Sorensen, nearly 3 temps away from Kevin Siggy, who still holds pole.
Thomas Tatler's lap time's tracking to be kind of close to where Joshua Rogers is at the moment. In that kind of vein. I mean, he only needs to find a couple of hundredths if he's going to go up onto the pole position, but I don't think we're going to see a 0.1 out of Thomas Tatler here. He comes into the final sector. The only driver we've ever seen in 0.1s, by the way, is Sebastian Job. He might well need to do that if he's going to wrestle pole position here off the hands of Kevin Siggy. Thomas Tatler, the Finn, comes out of the final corner, races his way up towards the line, goes behind Joshua Rogers into 3rd.
And this is the moment. Sebastian Job, what have you got for us this time? It's the G2 Esports man on his own in the final, but he might not need the help, to be honest. Into the final couple of corners he comes right now. It's going to need to be special. Kevin Siggy's time of 14.217 is going to take some beating, but we've got the man for the job. It's Sebastian Job over the line. He goes second. 2 thousandths away. Kevin Siggy hangs on for now with still 2 to go.
Unreal. Did say that we might not see a 0.1 in this session. I think that might well hold firm. We've got 2 more drivers left to go. Bonnerhouse, Yuri Kasdorp. If either one of those can find a 0.1, well, it would be a big turn up for the books. I don't think it's going to come from Bonnerhouse. Kevin Siggy remains in the bottom right of your screen. That is pole position cam. You can see the emotion. You can see the elation. Potentially, if he grabs this pole position, Bonnerhouse through the final corner up towards the line. And House is going to go into 8th position. Just 1 more lap to go. And it's your favourite, Ewan. It's Yuri Kasdorp.
And the only time I didn't back him to get into the top 6, he does it again. So into the final for Yuri Kasdorp on this occasion. Unfortunately, this lap I don't think is going to be anything too special. On this occasion, it's a 14.4 looking like at the moment, maybe even a little bit further away than that. But if he gets into the top half, then I'll be a little bit surprised, unfortunately, for Yuri Kasdorp. He makes his way out of the final corner now and over the line. It will indeed. It's a 14.5 and he goes to 11th, unfortunately. The only males representative in the final.
Well, we'll take a look then at the starting grid, of course, by our partners VRS from back to front. A slowdown penalty for Dane Warren puts him in 12th position on the final row of the grid, joined by Yuri Kasdorp on that final lap of the session. Before we get to Lassie Sorensen inside the top 10, Johan Hart will start from 9th position, holding all of the weight of the Apex Racing team on his shoulders. Then we get Bonnerhouse and Yuri Toman, feeling lucky to be in the session in that 7th position. Of course, Marcel Chinchik will start himself inside the top 6. Then we get Kaiki Oliveira going under the radar once more to get himself into yet another final. Looking to score some very decent points. The front 2 rows of the grid, though, we'll see an all-Porsche one. The Porsche Heroic of Thomas Tattler starting from 4th position, obviously just half a tenth off of the pole position. Joshua Rogers starting from 3rd place. And the front row separated by 2,000 of a second is all BMWs up here as we see Sebastian Job starting just behind Kevin Siggy. It is Mustachio on pole position here at Spa as we get ready for round 6 in the ESL R1 full season, looking for his first final victory, looking to do it here in the Ardennes Forest. Of course, Kevin Siggy with the control at the moment. Impressive lap time, but he's got to fend off Sebastian Job. This is not going to be easy for him.
No, it really won't. It won't be easy for any of them. It's going to be a big fight for this win. Another round win in ESL R1 in the full season on the line here this evening over the course of the next 7 laps. Is it just going to be about those 2 as it was in qualifying? 2,000 separating them in the end. Is there going to be another contender? To be honest, I think Tattler is not going to quite have it based on the race pace we saw from him in semi-final 1. I think Rogers probably is the driver who's qualified worst, who still has a chance of winning, in all honesty.
Who did you predict again? So I predicted Rogers. Who did you predict?
Well, I predicted Rogers yesterday, but I've gone with Siggy about 10 to 20 minutes ago.
Okay, that's the important one. So that means obviously Sebastian Job. So we're all up there. God, get rid of Veracity for 1 round, and bam, we are on it. She is not going to believe us when she goes, good job this is online, isn't it? This broadcast. She's definitely not going to believe us if we just told her.
I mean, she might not anyway, to be fair. I wouldn't.
She's pretty
So fair enough, but who knows what's going to happen in the race. We've seen 2 very unpredictable semi-finals, so I feel, you do feel like some ways that qualifying is maybe not going to have very much bearing on the end of the race, but then again, you just do not know what is going to happen.
Obviously, some of the driving standards have been slightly lower than what we'd normally expect from ESL R1. Race control have had to step in a fair amount into the proceedings today. Will we see the same kind of drama heading into the final? That's kind of the big question. Do you think we're going to see? Obviously, the last time we went racing for a final at Spa, we did have to get race controller involved. Max Benneker getting a post-race penalty to drop him behind Sebastian Job, who took a win the last time we came to Spa. They'll prepare themselves on the grid. Think of the heart rates right now. They are going to be sat rising, building up to when those lights come on before we get that short run down towards the source and the first corner of the race. It is Kevin Siggy starting from pole position in the final. He's got to deal off and fend off the 2-time winner this season, Sebastian Job. We are underway with a terrible start from Yuri Kasdorp, who struggles to get his way down towards the first corner. Joshua Rogers straight to the inside of Sebastian Job as we begin our race down the hill, 2 kilometres from the source, all the way up towards Lake Kong. Great start from Kevin Siggy, the Slovenian.
Yeah, it is. It's single file for the front drivers entirely. In fact, through Eau Rouge for the first time. Up the hill they go in towards Lecombe. There's big pressure though on Kevin Siggy right now. Here goes Sebastian Job. Here goes Josh Rogers. Is it going to be 3 wide, or is Rogers just going to take the back seat for the moment? No! On the grass he goes. Goes for the lead, just Josh Rogers. It's all going to funnel down into Lecombe. Sebastian Job round the outside will take the lead.
Yeah, Thomas Tattler getting himself involved, so it's still going to be the top 3 being held. A look to the inside from Marcel Chinchik on Kaiki Oliveira as well. Sebastian Job then to the race lead. Kevin Siggy, Josh Rogers, Thomas Tattler, Kaiki Oliveira, Marcel Chinchik, your top 6. But everyone else behind is really involved in this fight, with the exception of Yuri Kasdorp after his issues early on. This is a little bit of elbows out driving. Johan Hart and Lassie Sorensen. Big slide there for the Apex Racing team driver. Dane Warren knocking at the door, not fulfilling the prophecy that Mitchell de Jong pushed out earlier, that maybe we would see a 1-2 for Porsche Coanda.
Well, I think that was all ripped apart when Dane Warren got a slow down in qualifying, and that put him towards the back of the pack. It's been a clean start though for those who actually got away cleanly. No idea what happened to Yuri Kasdorp, but he just did not get away, and thankfully he was on the back row of the grid and didn't affect anyone else.
Yeah, if that was in the mid-pack, he'd be, yeah, they'd probably be a size. Maybe he jumped the start, stalled it, something like that. If we see Yuri Kasdorp coming to the pit lane, we'll know he's got a drive-through penalty, and that'd be wide. Sometimes when you have those kind of weird starts, the slow starts, it almost, there is a jump in there that's kind of caused it a little bit. We'll have to wait and see whether the Dutchman returns his way into pit lane or anything like that. But at the moment, though, as we get ready to complete the first lap of racing, it was elbows out, but it was absolutely fine. That little bit of 3 wide, obviously Josh Rogers got, I wouldn't say he got squeezed on the grass, I'd say he drove on the grass trying to make it 3 wide.
Yeah, I would say so. There was about half a Porsche width on the inside there at the Kemmel Straight, and he made sure that he filled it with his car. So yeah, I wouldn't say he was squeezed there particularly, but he was certainly he did it to himself, but he didn't seem to mind too much. He's in that awkward place now though, isn't he, where if he attacks Siggy, then there's a danger of Job getting away, but if he doesn't attack Siggy, then he's not going to win the race. So it's a difficult place for Josh Rogers to be.
Just to clarify as well, did get a little bit of a note from Dane Baird, obviously running things behind the scenes, Race Spot, yeah, some of our partners here helping us bring the in-game footage. No jump start for Yuri Kasdorp, just a weird slow one. So there's no penalty for him, so he can still get himself involved in the fight, get himself involved in the points, you know, getting more points, more prizes for him, and hopefully again settling his position when it comes to moving through. They head their way down into Lecombe. Of course, Sebastian Job there comfortably able to hang on to the race lead from Kevin Siggy. Joshua Rogers, I think, lifted a little bit early, not wanting to get involved in the fight straight away. Kind of makes sense. You don't want to go you know, straight on the inside of Kevin Siggy and then pull yourself right off the back end for Sebastian Job. Sometimes patience is the big thing in this race, and drivers like Josh Rogers absolutely know that.
Yeah, and he's very good at it as well, is Josh Rogers, in terms of patience. He certainly lifted off on the Kemmel Straight there. Didn't want to go for the move just yet. Needs to bide his time, and he certainly knows that. Sebastian Job, by the way, with that last race win, became tied second in all-time wins in ESL R1 already, alongside Marcel Chinchik and Max Benecke with 12 apiece. Could go outright second with this one and become the first driver to take a 3rd round win in ESL R1 as well. History being made by a driver who wasn't even here from the very start.
Well, we need to go through our stats together then, because we're slightly off here. You and O'Leary. But no, you're absolutely right. I have it as this win would take him to joint second all time, because I've got Marcel Chinchik down as 13 victories in the ESL R1 across all competitions. But who knows? Spreadsheets and counting are not a commentator's strong suit. I do always say never trust a commentator's maths. This is an example of that. And I know my spreadsheet's wrong, so that's fine. Either way, obviously Sebastian Job just wants a victory here. But Josh Rogers could do something slightly better. If he takes the victory in here, it would be the clean sweep. It would be the 4th time we have seen a clean sweep in ESL R1. It would be the 2nd time that he's done it, and the 1st time that he's done it since we went racing in Katowice. Of course, it was on the 2nd day, it was on the Sunday in Katowice, where he took you know, all 3 victories at the Hockenheim Ring to get his first clean sweep. I think he might be close to a move this time.
He may well be. It's just the case of, does he want to go through at the moment? Because if this fight boils over between himself and Siggy, then Job has won the race. There's a real issue with that at the moment. Over the top of the hill at Radion they go. Is Siggy close enough for a move here? I'm not quite sure. Rogers certainly is. He'll tuck right in behind the BMW. And no, he won't go for it, because Siggy is instead Rogers doesn't know where to go. Siggy will get down the inside then, and they will fight side by side in the two BMWs. It's Redline versus G2 through Lecom and Malmedy. They'll remain locked together, but Job hangs it round the outside.
Watch this from Rogers, though. He's got the speed, he's got the overlap, he's pushing it as they come down into Rivage. He's going to send it around the outside. Surely he's got to back out from this one. He knows it's a risky move to do. You can maybe give it a go on the last lap. Right now, it is not the case. Just remember to yesterday, if anyone joins on the stream, if you've seen it in social media, the unbelievable fight between Sebastian Job and Kevin Siggy. They went side by side all the way around this section, up and unders, side by side. Patience, gaps, just about left. It was honestly brilliant racing. I wonder if we have the same opportunity here, if they might get a bit more elbows out. It's kind of exactly what Sebastian Job was saying in his interview after semi-final 2.
Yeah, it's going to get like that towards the end, but you've got to remember we are still in the first half of this race, and there's a long way to go just yet. So just everybody bide your time for a moment. Pretty much everybody is still involved in the fight. Even the gap between Rogers and Tattler closed on that lap, actually, as the top three fought just a little bit. Tattler closed in that fourth position. He's got Oliveira behind. Then it's the two RHGs of Chinchik and Toman. Everybody's still very much involved here and biding their time, waiting for the second half of this race.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, this one's going to come in thick and fast. Like I say, we might be up for an absolute classic here when it comes to final action. We've had a few good ones this season, of course. Like you say, you alluded to it earlier. That first final that we had of the season at Monza was absolutely electric. To be fair, the second one as well. Yes, it ended in a little bit of drama with the incident between Maximilian Benneker and Sebastian Job, who ended up being victorious that day. It was still exciting. I get the feeling we're definitely going to get a similar sort of thing here. You've got three drivers, three of the absolute best drivers in the world of sim racing. Sebastian Job, Kevin Siggy, Joshua Rogers. You've got Thomas Tattler, who's got something to prove here, to move his way forward. You've got Kaiki Oliveira, the driver who's constantly the driver under the radar. You've got the spring season champion in Marcel Ching. You've got the driver second in the point in Yuri Toman. This is going to be an incredible fight, as we see once again. Sebastian Job will have to take the defensive line, because here comes Kevin Siggy. He looks to the inside as they come down towards Lecom. You can see into the eyes of Kevin Siggy, calm as you like, straight up to the race lead.
Well, Job let him have that one, and Rogers, because he wasn't getting involved that time, couldn't capitalise on it. So where does Rogers intend to go here? Will he go for the move on this occasion into Rivage? It's so difficult to know what to do when you're in the situation the Porsche Coanda driver is in at this moment in time, because Kevin Siggy goes through there. Job would have initially left the door open, but of course Job just decided to lift out of it and let Siggy have that one. Now Rogers doesn't go through, and now Siggy is getting a bit of an advantage. So what do you do? If there's a fight for second place here, then surely the race win is gone. So it's a really harsh situation. And right now, Siggy is looking to try and run away with this race win entirely.
Maybe Joshua Rogers is being patient here because of one of the factors that we are kind of aware of. In ESL R1, when it comes to the balance of performance, we say this all the time, the cars are kind of equalised to each other. They're not the same car. They don't drive the same. They all drive slightly differently. Some oversteer, understeer more than the other. Like they all drive slightly differently. And with that, some of them wear their tyres slightly differently. We've said kind of quite a lot this season that the BMW is a bit heavier on its tyres than other cars. And I wonder if Joshua Rogers, kind of playing into that strength, is going to go on the attack later on once he feels the BMW has slightly gone off their tyres. I know it's only a 7-lap race, but in those 15 minutes, the tyres do start to struggle a little bit.
They do, and now Rogers really closes in to Job on this lap. It is a consideration that they're all going to have to make, because for the most part, in spite of that leading change there, not many of the other battles have actually changed hands so far in this race. So there's some decisions to be made now with 3 laps to go, including this one. Sebastian Job goes wide through turn 1. Surely this may be the chance now for Joshua Rogers. Someone's got to do something, or Kevin Siggy's going to get away with the race win.
Yeah, Rogers has to now, and we know the Porsche's got a really good first sector. It's really swift in a straight line. It has to be now for Joshua Rogers. They head their way over the crest at Radion. Big curve being taken. Sebastian Job is feeling the pressure against a driver he's battled time and time again in the world of sim racing. Kevin Siggy is starting to check out. Here comes Joshua Rogers. And to be fair, it might be in Sebastian Job's best interest here not to fight Joshua Rogers too hard, unless he has aspirations of allowing Kevin Siggy to take this victory. The pair of them are going to go side by side, and it is going to be a gap that's getting bigger and bigger for the race lead. Big slides from Sebastian Job, who hangs on the second.
I'm surprised by the way that Siggy's been able to get away, I've got to say, but now that Job has set out his stall for a defensive second place, Siggy has got a golden opportunity to win for Team Redline right now. The gap is 0.8 of a second. That little exchange there between Rogers and Job may have secured the win. It's not over, of course, but Job has got to find something special now in the final 2.5 laps.
Special lap, Spa, Sebastian Job. We've seen this before. Not in the race, we've seen it in qualifying, but he needs to dig deep. We need to find those qualifying laps, see what he can do to go and catch Kevin Siggy. We have not seen Team Redline victorious too many times when it comes to ESL R1, when it comes to finals, despite having plenty of wins with all of their drivers. When it comes to those finals, it's only Luke Bennett that's been the driver to pull himself firm. And right now, Kevin Siggy, I said this could be the season for him. This could be the season where he pieces things together. We know he's got the speed. Sometimes it's the aggression that gets the other side of him. You know, he does bash the wheel quite a few times. He's really emotional. He's one of the most emotional drivers that we have. Let's see if he can take this victory. This would be a big moment for him.
You say it could be the season for him. I mean, in the spring season, he was still in the last 12, so it wasn't, you know, and I think that's a good season for Kevin Siggy, in all honesty. So, you know, it's... you know, maybe another good season for him, I suppose, in the full season, but maybe he can just go that little bit further in the second half of 2023. He leads now by nearly a second. Sebastian Job really does need to find something here at the moment. Kevin Siggy, by the way, around here at Spa, this, you could say, is possibly his best track in ESL R1. He's third most successful driver at this circuit with 4 wins to his name. This could be a historic 5th, although it wasn't a very good run out of Lassie Sorensen on that occasion, I've got to say. He's losing a lot of time now to Sebastian Job, who closes in on this penultimate lap. Will it be Job or will it be Rogers? It will be Job. So Rogers decides to stay behind, maybe knowing that he can either allow Job to catch for the lead or he can go for second on the last lap if they're not there in time to catch Kevin Siggy.
And I was critical of drivers yesterday where they went on the attack for 7th place and they were allowing the top 6 to check out. And this is what I'm saying about when you look at the very best drivers in sim racing versus very, very good drivers, the very best understand when and how to fight. Joshua Rogers is one of the best. He doesn't care about finishing second in this race. He only cares about taking the victory. He is playing his cards at the moment to put him in position to try and take a victory. Yes, he's got to do a lot of work on that final lap, but it's better giving yourself a chance to win than going after second and losing anyhow.
Yeah, it certainly is. Kevin Siggy there, I'm sure, made a mistake into La Source because he lost about half of his advantage, but over the course of the middle sector again, he's just extended it out by a couple of tenths of a second. And I've got to say, I think both BMWs are starting to struggle on their tyres just a little bit more. You can see Rogers and Tantala right up behind Job, and you can see Kaki Oliveira not quite as close to Tantala as he was previously as well. These BMWs may be starting to slip, and Lassie Sorensen is not as close to the RHGs either. The BMWs may be the factor in this one as we go down towards the bus stop chicane for the penultimate time. I'm just not sure this gap is close enough. I know there's a big slipstream on the way down here and there'll be another one on the back straight, but is it enough? I'm inclined to say no at this stage with a lap to go.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, unless we're going to get an unreal middle sector from Josh Rogers, unless he can work his way past Sebastian Job. I get the feeling Kevin Siggy is safe from the field. That gap sits at 0.6 of a second. We cross the line. We start the final 7 kilometres here in round 6 of ESL R1. Kevin Siggy holds the advantage. Sebastian Job behind. Any mistake now, and the door will be open. They head their way down the hill, and once again, it doesn't look like it's been a particularly good drive from Sebastian Job off the first corner.
No, it really hasn't. Josh Rogers is right up behind now. There's going to be no waiting around. There's no point anymore. It's the last lap of the race here, lap 7. His run over radio wasn't quite so good. You can see him muttering away to himself. I don't think he's very pleased. And will there be a late dive? Maybe not. He was close previously. No longer. Josh Rogers is going to have to do something late on, and it's not going to happen for him as Joe breaks super late and puts that pressure on Kevin Siggy for this last lap.
How did Sebastian Job pull that up to the apex in the first part of Lake Com? He was so late on the brakes, so deep onto it. There's side-by-side in the background between Kaki Oliveira and Marcel Ginchik. Let's see what's going to happen between those. The RHG duo that have looked so strong in ESL R1 are trying to work their way past Kaki Oliveira. Marcel Ginchik up the 5th position. Yuri Kasdorp trying to get to the outside. Contact between the two. Nearly goes off the road through No Name. Opens the door for Lassie Sorensen to come through.
And Yuri Toman is not going to be pleased about that because Johan Hart is making his way through as well. On the outside, on will go the Czech driver. It's going to be fantastic from Yuri Toman. If you can just squeeze Johan a little bit more, no. He'll be pushed out wide and they'll go side by side into Pip-Pap. This is the racing we've been waiting for. It comes at the very end on the last lap. Wow. Yuri Toman looking to hold on to places as Lassie Sorensen's pushed wide. Johan Hart goes around. A scream and a shout from Johan Hart, but he drops to the back. Frustration as well. He will finish 12th.
Yeah, there's not going to be too many points for Johan Hart. He'll finish in 12th position, unfortunately, after getting very elbows out. There's a look at him in the bottom right. We've got to keep our eye on this man here, on Kevin Siggy. There's been a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's not delivered too many times in the season. Of course, Spa is one of his best circuits, but he has pieced together this round brilliantly. A well-deserved pole position, and as he comes through the final sector, it is going to be a well-deserved round win for Kevin Siggy, Team Redliner back on top, as Kevin Siggy takes victory in the Ardennes. Sebastian Job and Joshua Rogers round out the podium in what was a well-fought race. A few too many mistakes from Sebastian Job just allowed this driver to check out, and it is Kevin Siggy on top in ESL R1 for the first time. What an unbelievable performance, Ewan.
And only 5 points dropped along the way as well. The winner in the knockout round, second place in his semi-final, and now a winner in the final as well. Absolutely almost maximum points for him over the course of the evening as well. Almost a shrug of the shoulders as if to say, what's the big deal? Well, he's just won a round of ESL R1. Another new name onto the list of winners here this season.
Yeah, we'll take a look at some of the highlights of Joshua Rogers. I mean, what can we say about this guy? He was trying to find any move to get past Sebastian Job on that final lap, just kind of timed it wrong. Was maybe, I hate saying it after being so positive about it, was maybe too patient in the race, do you think?
There is certainly a look back in hindsight at maybe there was a moment where he could have gone through and could have tried something. I think by the time that he eventually did try and make the move on Job, it was too late in the race, and Job was never going to afford him that position. But if he'd have done it a lap or two earlier, then maybe there would have been a chance. Hindsight is, of course, a wonderful thing, and this is the moment where it really came to fruition in the end. Job just went wide. That allowed Siggy to get a bit of an advantage. Josh Rogers went for it, but by this point, I think it was too late in the race. If he'd have done this a lap or two ago, then he might have been afforded the place by Sebastian Job, and he might have been able to chase down Siggy. But at this stage, it was never going to happen. Unfortunately, ended up missing out.
I think he could have got second position in that race, but the race victory was kind of always a little bit too far past it. Some of the bits that we actually kind of didn't see, Timus Tatler getting into the rear end just to touch into that first corner. I say Josh Rogers gave it absolutely everything. Little final lap attempt and almost worked his way through, but you know it was as close as you're going to get. Like I say, Rogers, if he'd have gone for a move earlier, I think he would have got second. I think he could have got second that race. I just think the gap would have been too large by the time he took over second place to get after Kevin Siggy. It all kind of came down to Sebastian Job. I don't want to say letting Kevin Siggy go, but it was when he didn't fight Kevin Siggy and then just proceeded to make a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, and that was the key moment in the race, really. Allow Kevin Siggy to get away, and he's standing by with George right now.
Yes, I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin Siggy this time around after a stellar result in our latest race. And Kevin, what a round it's been for you. Your strongest, no doubt, of the full season so far. 3 races, 3 podiums here at Spa. You must be feeling thrilled.
Yeah, I feel very satisfied, to be honest. I mean, the last time I was here at Spa, I completely pinned it. I was fortunately P7 in the quarters, so I couldn't really make it at that time. But right now, I think I made a lot of progress. Our car also made a little bit of a progress. It still wasn't there. We saw yesterday that the Porsche was absolutely mental in the race, especially. So we're, obviously very satisfied to win and very happy to get all the podiums this time around.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very much a late developing period for you where it comes to winning races in ESL R1. We hark back to Katowice at the start of the year. You've been on a bit of a voyage of discovery, but certainly this season it's been, I think a lot better for you, and especially after your form here at Spa this time around. Have you been working hard behind the scenes to sort of cultivate these improved results?
Yeah, I've been doing so ever since the start of Season 1, especially now in Season 2. I've been doing some other work behind the scenes at home, thanks Fabs. but doing behind the scenes work to improve on myself and improve on my mental, because I've, I mean, competing in this series, I completely lost my mental ever since we started in Poland. So I've been trying to regain that, and I mean, I sort of did. Still a bit more to kind of fine tune. Still a bit too stressed in qualifying, and I mean, everything obviously becomes better in semis and the finals. So I mean, I think the hard work has been paid off today. Unfortunately, not so for my teammates. I really hope they would be. They would have been next to me as well in this race, potentially even win instead of me. So I mean, progress has been made. I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, and a great qualifying lap as well. I mean, obviously being surrounded with the likes of Joshua Rogers and Sebastian Job, who have come into this round in really, really good form. It must feel good to sort of put yourself in that position where you can challenge at the very top. Obviously, having a good qualifying session is very much half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, at Spa for our car, it's very difficult to say because obviously our straight line speed is still slow, sort of lacking. I mean, I think nowadays with all the patches and the buffs to the drag system of our car, it's definitely a lot better than it was before. So we have a little bit more confidence going into the race instead of, getting pole position and then saying, oh well, that's my race gone because I have no top speed. So right now it's a bit of a better situation. So I think qualifying is still something to kind of consider on tracks like Road Atlanta, tracks like some like Nürburgring, for example, or Hockenheim. But for Spa, it's more about the race pace and trying to save tires. I mean, you saw it today with Sebi. I think he was pushing a little bit too hard, as he probably did in semis. In semis, he did a good job at doing so, but right now in the final, I think I managed to save the tires perfectly, and I managed to overtake him in the end and pull away the gap, and potentially also help him a little bit, because I knew that if the Porsche passes him, I'm very vulnerable, especially with 2 laps to go. We know how insane that car can be. So, I mean, we did everything we could, and we came on top.
Yeah, qualifying is one thing. Race management is another half of the battle as well, and you did that superbly. Congratulations, Kevin, on taking the round victory here at Spa, and we look forward to seeing you now in our remaining rounds.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin Siggy, everybody, from Team Redline. And it was just an emphatic performance, Lewis. Start to finish, Kevin Siggy was on song. And Ewan was right, wasn't he? He obviously came up last minute, said, yes, it's going to be Siggy. He had a sense for Siggy, and he was spot on. Here's the confirmation of the final race results, everybody. Kevin Siggy, your race winner here in round 6, takes the round victory as well. Sebastian Job coming home in second. It's yet another podium for Sebastian Job. Joshua Rogers right up there and fighting. 21 points goes to him. Porsche Commander, of course, can take the positives out of that performance as well after losing a couple of drivers in semi-final 2. Thomas Tattler, another sterling display for the heroic driver ahead of Marcel Cinchik. R8G would be wondering what if, I would say, in many ways, especially with Yuri Toman being behind Dane Warren and Lassie Sorensen and Kaiki Oliveira. Bono House, Mercedes, you'd imagine, are going to have to go back and reassess. Yuri Kasdorp as well, making it through to the final for the first time this season, and Johan Harth finishing in 12th place for ART. So we will now, of course, take you through to the top 24. How's the complexion change, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, well, Sebastian Job's looking even stronger as he pulls now to a 60-point margin at the top. But of course, looking further down, I know some fan favourites like James Baldwin, Isaac Price, even Mitchell deJong in the round that we just had, Morris Hunter. They're all just above the cut line. Like, realistically, it's looking pretty tight. I think that all of those drivers in the bottom lot, they cannot afford to miss the next semi-final. They have to get through to the knockout, out of the knockout phases. Otherwise, it's bust. Those drivers behind, we know, are getting stronger. Obviously, Tommy Uskar, I know, had a couple of problems in the semi-final. He's a driver that definitely keep an eye on over the last couple of races. And for a lot of those drivers that are sort of over on the left-hand side, it's about closing that gap up to Sebastian Job, or at least getting yourself a bit tight. If things work the same way they did back in Munich, it's about keeping the points all as close as possible. So when we go through the transformation of the points, that you're there or thereabouts. A bit of a shout, by the way. I just want to give a quick one to Kevin Siggy. Again, the first time I ever saw Kevin Siggy in sim racing, we were in Division 2 of some random Porsche league you've never heard of. So to see him winning it, I'm like, oh, go on, mate, off you go.
What a mighty journey he has had indeed. And speaking of mighty journeys, let's take a look at the team's leaderboard as well, because there's been a lot of developments there too. RHG have obviously still solidified their position up at the top. Porsche Coanda having one of those days, you could say, but it has certainly been a staunch rise for G2 Esports, who now only see themselves 19 points behind Team Redline, who currently sit in 4th place. Apex Racing Team in 6th as well. Plenty of challenges and plenty of teams at the bottom end still chasing better form here, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, the big one there is that, you know, if you've got any hopes for the team's championship, Porsche Coanda have closed in to about 150 points from RHG. Obviously, we were talking about it being like a kind of a 200-point gap. I still don't think it's catchable, right? I still think that gap's too big. They're focusing on grabbing in 2nd place. But again, a reminder that the team's championship is over in 2 weeks' time. When we finish the main season, before we go to Sweden, that's when the team's championship ends. Of course, last season, it was Team Redline. We've also had Porsche Coanda win at Gamers 8. You know, RHG look like they're going to be the champions of this season, but yeah, I guess for the most part, they just keep deserving it because they keep just being irritatingly consistent. They don't really put too many feet wrong.
No, they don't. We are going to bring a recap of what's happened here tonight, folks. But first of all, we're going to have a recap of the survey as well. Get involved here at ESL R1 and make sure you use !survey to grab that QR code and use your phone to scan through and leave your comments. And you could be in with a chance of 5 tickets to the DreamHack event in Sweden, the Winter DreamHack event, where, of course, we will have the full season major at ESL R1. So make sure you get involved and you could be in with a chance of seeing the drivers compete in person when we head to Sweden later on this year. Of course, that's been the 24th, 25th of November. So make sure you stay tuned in. But let's take a look back. Of course, we'll of course see you very, very soon when we come back racing again. We've got only a small matter of 2 rounds to go, folks. It is certainly getting nitty-gritty up at the top. Who's going to get into the top 24? The story continues for the next 2 rounds. We'll see you soon, folks. Take care of yourselves. From me, George Morgan, and Lewis McGlade. We'll see you soon, folks. Goodbye.